fifth and final round of the Blancpain GT Sprint Cup is held at the Nurburgring, and we're hoping for beautiful blue skies at this most stunning of circuits in the Eiffel Forest. The last weekend of August had round 4 and it was super tight down to the first corner at the Nurburgring. A packed field of cars somehow getting around. It was Audi in pole with Marcel Fassler at the wheel leading the way. There was contact further back. That's Jules Kodiak taking the number 88. Mercedes off into a spin, and to try as hard as they could, the number 63 Lamborghini crew, even at this restart, could not get past Fassler holding sway at the front of the field. The turn 5 curbing, enticing for some, most staying on board. Will the teams stick to their plans when it comes around to the little pit stops? Vincent Voss certainly hopes so. Very, very tight in the pits, and 2 of the Audis came in at the same time. Less haste, more speed. 63 Lamborghini coming in as well. That was challenging for the lead, but it was Fassler's car that was being waited for. That was the one in from the lead. It was the blue-nosed sister car that really did well in the pits. Staying shot horse, taking over from Jake Dennis and really gaining position out onto the circuit. There were problems for the chasing HTP Motorsport Boot Pereira championship challenging car in the pits, and then problems for Shot Horse, giving a little rub up the back from 63, but it was now Audi 1, 2 and 3, and one of last year's challengers, that's the Mies Ide car, going for a spin down at turn 1, and then poor Stephen Earle caught up as the front runners came through and pitched off into a spin, but it was all eyes on the screens. The race came towards the end, and still it was Vantor leading the way. Dries Vantor following in the footsteps of his brother to become a winner. A 1-2 for Audi, and look, young Dries' delight there, a teenager up on the top step of the podium. The battle for championship honours is super tight. Those 2 wins at the Hungaroring for Marcel Fassler and Dries Vantor really pitched them into the thick of the battle. Now 3rd place overall, just 4 points away from the overall lead. So it's all to play for at the Hungaroring, and you can be sure that veteran Fassler wants it.
You know, a title is always something great. It means also that you have been the best over the whole season. And I think this, especially this championship, because there are so many contenders who could win the title, I think it would be something special to win this one. And yeah, but it's tough.
Lying 6th coming to the Nurburgring, Vincent Abril has no wins yet to his name in the Bentley that he shares with Stephen Kane, but really has a chance at the Sprint Cup. His aim is the overall title.
Obviously the Sprint Championship is one that I really enjoy. It's got everything. You have to be fast over 1 lap, you have to be good in the race, you have to be fast in the pits, so everything is a factor in this championship. So yeah, it would mean a lot to win it again. Obviously now I'm in a much more difficult situation than when I won it in 15, because the gap to the front is a bit bigger, but like you said, there's also the overall championship which is in sight, and that's, I think, our main focus this weekend is to collect some big points.
Audi is really well represented in the Sprint Cup title chase, and one of its challengers in 4th place overall is Stuart Leonard. He has that 1 win to his name at Zolder, and he's pitching for glory here, sharing with Robin Friens yet again, and surely it could be their chance to really take a tilt at the title. The Audis look great at the ring.
I'm going to do my best. I think we're going to do our best, and no, I'm really looking forward to it. It's a very competitive series, and it would be amazing to win. We're doing everything we can to be at the right spot at the right time. Last year the Audi was new to me. I'd never driven a mid-engine car before, so it took me a little while to get on top of, but this year I'm much more comfortable, and with Robin I think we've made a good team.
One of the new faces in 2017 has been Piti Bhirombhakdi from Thailand, the best looking cars in the field, the Kessel Racing TP12 Ferrari that he shares with Carlo Van Dam. We didn't know what to expect from Piti, but from race to race he's been getting stronger and stronger.
This is the first year I came here, and at the beginning we didn't expect much. After a few races we're doing fine, and we finished in the 2nd mostly. This is the big moment for me. Just concentrate on every lap and every section, try to do our best, and hopefully we get a chance to win the championship.
One driver with really high hopes for the Nürburgring is Mirko Bortolotti. Again, he's sharing that 63 Lamborghini with Christian Engelhardt. They took a double victory at Brands Hatch. He comes here just 3 points down on the overall leaders, Buch and Pereira, and has really, really high hopes of taking a good shot at the title.
Well, obviously I'm looking forward to this weekend. It's gonna be a really tight one as usual in the Blancpain GT Series. Getting to this point with, you know, so many different contenders for the title. it's something really challenging and special. So we are really, we are ready for it, ready to fight again. And obviously the goal is to get a championship if possible. But we will have a look at, we'll have an eye on the overall title as well. So obviously we will see what we can do here at the Nurburgring.
Coming to the Nurburgring, the final round of the Sprint Cup. Franck Pereira and Maxi Buch lead the way in the 84 HTP Motorsport Mercedes. They started their season with a double win at Misano. It's been really tight ever since, shown by the fact 7 teams can take the title here at the Nurburgring. Effectively 5 of them super close on points. Let's hope weather doesn't trip any of them up.
I think it will be a quite exciting weekend. It's a good position to be leading. We got some bad luck last races, but I think we're going to push all the weekend, try to get the best result for the win, like we start the season with Misano. I think it could be good to close the championship with a win. At the moment the car is good. We are very motivated, it's positive, and we will try the best.
To win a championship title anywhere is special, but to win one on home ground doubles that divide, and that's exactly what Alexander Matschel will be hoping for this weekend, sharing as ever his 333 Rinaldi Racing Ferrari with Daniel Kalbitz. He has a 13-point lead in the Pro-Am Championship category, and he's really hoping he can deliver the goods across the 2 races at the Nürburgring.
Now we are looking for the sprint title. Our concerns is a little bit the weather. It's really cold and humid, so I think we will get some rain in between. I think this is very difficult for everybody. We try to win the Pro-Am, but it's still a strong championship. It will be a difficult race because there are some other good guys, but we try to get it.
One driver who is really living the dream this year is South African David Carell. He just can't believe that he's leading AM class, doing it beautifully in the Kessel Racing Ferrari he shares with Stephen Earle. He watched these races a handful of years ago, back at home, decided he wanted to have a go. He's come up to Europe and he's made a fantastic splash. It's been a brilliant year. I think he's going to cap it out here at the Nürburgring.
I've been watching this series for a long time on my couch, and I didn't actually think I'd be a champion in it. Honestly, I didn't. I wanted to experience it. I wanted to stand in the pit lane and see what it's like to do a pit stop driver change and all those cool things, but to win it and be in press conferences with my heroes is special.
Well, how close would you like the championship to be? This is the final round of the 2017 Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup. John Watson, me, Bruce Jones in the commentary booth. We've got 7 crews, John, that can nail the title here at this final round. Effectively 5 in with a really good chance and 2 others tilting from the outside, hoping everything goes wrong. But for some of the top teams, it already did in qualifying this morning. Now the track temperatures are warmer, nearly 20 degrees. The sky's actually just brightened up a bit. The clouds came in. It was a beautiful blue sky morning, but the main thing is the track temperatures are up and everything has dried out. It was damp almost all the way around the circuit this morning, or worse actually, part damp, part dry, depending where the sun had hit.
Well, the sun's not quite there, but there are the championship points.
Well, that top screen, you can see in 6th place overall, Vincent Abril and Stephen Kane, they really are an outside chance, but with the extra point for pole position, Dries Van Tor and Marcel Fassler, they'll take the point, but most importantly for them, they're now equal second in the championship, but they're on pole position. The best of their rivals is starting down in 7th place overall. And for Maxi Buch and the championship leaders, Maxi Buch and Franck Pereira, they're down in 8th. So this is a real good chance. There are only points for the top 6 places. 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1 it goes. So Dries Van Tor will be starting from pole position in the number 5 Audi, and Rob Bell will be doing his best to put the McLaren season on track. Or Andrea Cordarelli in his Lamborghini, and Dominic Baumann from row 2. Row 3, Daniel Kalbitz leading the Pro-Am class, and Howe. And then Stein Schotthorst, new to the championship, will be starting from row 3. Great start for him. Robin Frieds and championship leader Maxi Buch, row 4. Raffaele Marciello, and again showing the McLaren form, Ben Barnicoat up to 10th. Frank Stippler, historic racer and current racer, will start 11th. Tristan Vautier coming on board the Sprint Series. Andy Soucek and Fred Vervish, who's Enzo Ida's teammate this weekend, on row 7. Row 8, Max van Splunteren and Fabio Crestani. Then Mirko Bortolotti, we mentioned him down on row 9, and Daniel Juncadea, not where either of those should be. So out of the chicane, the final time on the formation lap. Lights ablaze on the pole starting Audi of Dries Van Tor. That's number 5. Alongside him, number 59 McLaren, Rob Bell, who's done so well in this championship in the past. But now he thinks he's got a car that maybe can challenge and put McLaren on the map this year. It's not been a great season. So the full 33, well, it's 32 cars. We've lost the 55 car damaged in qualifying this morning, but it looks like a great start, waiting for the lights to go green. absolutely thundering already out down to the first corner. Rob Bell losing position, but Dries Vanthoor's got it under control. Daniel Kalvitz, he doesn't mind at all, up into second place. A little tap up his bottom, I think, there from Andrea Caldarelli. A lot of people going wide, but no contact, I think. But for Rob Bell, he lost several positions.
Yeah, Rob got tapped coming into turn one. There's always coming into turn one. Everybody tends to dive down to the inside to try and take the outside. Oh, and round goes the 63 car Mirko Bortolotti. The very thing that I said he needs to avoid has occurred. He looks like he's going to be stone last. So whether that was an assist or whether that was just a driver error, we might get a view of it in a moment or two. But in the meantime, it is the number 5 Audi that's made the break.
But we've had a change. Caldarelli has moved up ahead of Kalvitz into second place overall. Just can't see anything right at the back of the pack. You may see the green flash from Bortolotti. Yeah, way behind the rest. Middle order, very, very tight indeed. 99 right in the mix as well.
Bodywork coming off. Is that one of the McLarens? It is.
And it hit. I think
looks like it might. Is that Rob Bell? Or Ben Barnicoat, one of the two McLarens. Oh, further damage. Oh, dear, right into the side of the door. So somebody got tagged the Audi, which that may have been. Was that Robin Friends? Couldn't quite see. But the McLaren there, you can see. That is the 75. Is it Frank Stipler? It is Frank Stipler and the 58 McLaren. And both cars. That was Ben Barnicoat. So both cars down at turn 8. Most distant point on the circuit, but the McLaren dragging its left rear guard. It is going to be, I would assume, a full course yellow, certainly a yellow flag in sector 2, and those two cars will need assistance to pull them to safety. Let's watch again now.
Well, it's a fantastic start from Dries Vanthoor. Rob Bell stuck down the middle of the circuit. Daniel Kalvitz getting very close to Andrea Caldarelli on the pit wall side. At this point, Rob Bell's fine. Now, who hits him up the tail end? It looks as nobody here.
There's nobody at this point. So, there it is. It's the 17.
Well, that was Robin Friends. Very unfortunate because he was given a blast by one of the HTP Motorsport Mercedes. So that was very difficult indeed. That was Dominic Baumann.
The lightest of contact, but enough just to peel away. And there again, we see the 63 getting spun around.
Rob Bell has come in, so not necessarily their fault. The light's out, the safety car is off, and now Vanthoor is controlling the restart. Who's going to be serious down into turn 1? Caldarelli looks so he's close enough almost to make a move. No, Vanthoor's got clear air between himself and Caldarelli. Tucked in behind is Daniel Kalvitz in third place. Raffaele Marcello, is he close enough to the Ferrari to make a move? No, he isn't. Dominic Baumann starting to take a look, but he doesn't want to pass the car in front. It's his teammate, that's Maxi Buch. In some ways he's protecting him, and Baumann is being pushed by Schotthorst. Schotthorst goes around the outside. Baumann very really taps the tail of his teammate, and placed gained there by staying Schotthorst. So McLaren at least something to smile about as the 43 gains a place.
Yeah, good pass, but now the Mercedes coming back because there was a slight compromise in the overtaking. Baumann gets the undercut, and now you can see the 17 Audi of Robin Friends. He's trying to get a bit of the action, but goes the long way around the outside. Not an easy pass, and it's the 88 of Daniel Juncadella. That second of the ACA ASP Mercedes trying but having to defend because Marcello getting it all over the curbs, pumping and bumping, and look at the cloud of dust. He kicked up. He went actually through wheels off the track, coming up through turn 12.
Good news for Maxi Buch. You'd need any present you can get. I'm afraid by pressing so hard there in his desperation to catch up with Daniel Kalvitz, it went wrong for Marcello. So the places he's gained, he's lost one of them. But for Maxi Buch, he now must be saying Dankeschön.
As we again see a little bit of action, the 66 defending from the 43 McLaren, and the McLaren, yes, he's got it done. Good pass, aggressive but clean racing. Pit window is now open. Who's going to be the first in? Is it going to be Maximilian Buch? No, it is not.
I think it might be the ones running 7th, 8th, 9th down. Will Robin Friends come in? No, he's staying out the yellow-nosed Audi. Stuart Leonard waiting.
Bentley in, Andy Suchek. And the
Winkelhock
as well
from 9th place, so they're the first of the top 10 to pit. Oh, Winkelhock very nearly hit the wall on the coming out of that final corner.
Andy Suchek followed suit, and followed by one of the two BMWs. So these teams who've got multiple entries can mix and match. They can decide to stop early with some cars, go deeper or later with other cars. But we'll get an indication from WRT as Marcus Winkelhock makes his way down the pit lane. The Bentley behind, the BMW peeling off slightly earlier in the pit lane. See who will win this battle in the pit lane. It gets pretty hectic, believe me, in this 10-minute window. And when you get teams that are running multiple cars and they're all coming in, maybe in some cases 2 cars at the same time, it is a war zone down there.
It absolutely is. 32 cars started this race, so it's very, very busy down in the pit lane from effectively penultimate position. In comes Fabrizio.
Great stop. What a stop. The Lamborghini.
Well, in fact, I saw the lollipop go back down in front of the windscreen. It hit the windscreen as Stevens pulled away as the 63 Lamborghini was coming in. Let's just put that in mind.
But a great stop, likewise, for the M Sport team with the Bentley. So now we've got Maxime Soulet behind the wheel of that. So really no loss or gain between the BMW, between the Audi and the Bentley. And there is the 27 Lamborghini with all the smuts up the side of the guard, probably a few scars as well.
So Boot came in, he's not lost his battle, he's small enough.
Followed in by, I think it was either the 90 Mercedes or the 43 McLaren, just called, I think it was the McLaren.
I think it was McLaren. So Maxi Book got up to 4th place, started down in 8th, and this is the key for his championship.
They need a clean entry. They've got the clean entry. They've got to stop on the button, stopped on the button. Driver change not going to be an issue because that'll be over and done before the 4 wheels and tyres are changed. This is the pit stop of the season in many respects for the HTP team, because this can potentially elevate them from 4th place up to 2nd place once the pit stops have washed them way out.
And another thing I have to throw in the mix, we saw Alexander Matschel smiling in the garage earlier at Rinaldi Racing. Of course, he is not Daniel Calvin, so he's not going to be as much of a challenge in terms of getting past, but if the car could just, the HTP Motorsport Mercedes could pop out ahead of it, then that's half that battle won. So Dries Van Tor coming in, and Marcel Fassler waiting to take over, waiting for Marcel, hopping up and down on his feet, waiting for Dries to bring it to a halt, and so he does.
So he's standing there, belts undone. This is going to be a close call because it's, there's the Audi rolling, so it's pretty near the pit lane exit. He's on the throttle now. Where's the Mercedes?
Crossing the start-finish line in the back. Oh, hello, we got our championship mates. Going to be running 1 and 2.
Solidly in 2nd place, which is what the objective was. So now he's got focus on the lead car driven by Marcel Fassler. Pit window just coming up to 27 minutes of the race remaining. 2 minutes open, so I think this has got to be the time, the 19, the lead car as we speak, and it is coming in, so Caldarelli is making his way in, and he will make it all the way down to the very, very end of the pit lane.
If it's a clean
handover
to Ezequiel Perez compact, which will put him in a position in a race that he's just not accustomed to, but Ezequiel has
a lot of pressure on Ezequiel.
But
Perez compact.
But he's been gaining good form, and the Ferrari's coming as well. You said
everybody
those on the
has
circuit absolutely had to. So Alexander Matschel will be getting ready to greet the 333 Ferrari. Great job there from Daniel Kalbitz in from 3rd place. Good job from Andrea Caldarelli to take 2nd place at the start of the race and make it stick. So their chance for glory, the mechanics, or more to the point, their chance to muck things up in many ways.
Ferrari pulled in first, so Kalbitz will be out of the car. Lamborghini, the very end, pit garages.
There's Fred Vervish coming in, so Enzo Ida will take over the number 1 Audi. That's the one with the black nose. So again, busy on the circuit, busier in the pit lane. And here comes Marcel Fassler around to complete what will be the car's 17th lap. But importantly, what's his gap? Let's look at the gap back to Maxi Book.
So there are the Lamborghini pulls out
2.7 seconds.
Yes, so nothing lost between the Ferrari and the Lamborghini. What's more important is at what position will they rejoin? And they've certainly gone from 2nd and 3rd to 3rd and 4th.
Oh, what a traffic jam down leaving the pit lane. 4 cars. It seems the yellow-nosed Audi has lost ground. That was Stuart Leonard taking over from Robin Freins. Obviously got caught up in all the traffic in the pit lane. So all that hard work from Freins is going to have to be done all over again by Stuart Leonard. But 19.
And it's under challenge to Marcel Fassler.
Well, he's leading the race. A better pit stop there for Ezequiel Perez compact. I thought he's going to come out in 2nd place. He's popped out ahead of our race leader.
That is a shock. That is a shock.
You sucked through your teeth when I said they might come in. You thought there'd be
no way I thought that Grasso Racing would be able to turn around and get their car out ahead of the lead car. But that's what's happened. Ezequiel compact Perez. Perez compact, not Compact. So leading the race, but under extreme pressure in the 2nd part of this race from the car that has led from the lights going out, but now driven by Marcel Fassler, and Fassler needs to get this pass done quickly. The longer he gets trapped behind the Lamborghini, the less opportunity he's going to find. There's Dries Van Tor, and he's, look at him, his eyes are just lasering into the TV screen, almost willing by power of thought alone to get his teammate to get ahead of the green Lamborghini.
And you can see Fassler being delayed. You can see from Pereira doing what will put a smile on Maxi Book's face. We're not got a 2-way battle for the lead. It's a 3-way battle.
So Perez closing almost by the corner. The gap is reducing, and that's going to put pressure on Marcel Fassler because he's going to have to now be thinking defensively to stop the Mercedes. But at the same time, he's got to think positively and where can I get a maneuver? Where can I make a pass on this Lamborghini. We drive through penalties for cars 75, 333,
fourth place,
87 and 89 speeding in the pit lane.
Up the inside goes Fessler. Oh, up the inside he doesn't go.
But he's got a chance now. He's got the chance because he forced Perez Compact to go slightly offline, but he's now going to look for the cutback. Can he hold a very, very tight line coming through turn 2? No, he's not able to. Quicker out of turn 4. Watch Marcel Fassler. He's going to go one way. He's going to cut back and try and get down the inside. Frank Pereira had the same idea, but also no space for neither the Audi or the Mercedes. But this is real pressure now for the Argentinian driver. Look, Maxi Book, he's enjoying it.
Look how close the Bentley is, though, John.
Closing up by the corner.
But we have to just reflect on how that Lamborghini was propelled from second on the track before the pit stops to the lead of the race. We expected the pit stop from WRT to be good enough for when Marcel Fessler took over from race leader Dries van Tor for that to emerge ahead. Don't forget it had an advantage of about 5 seconds before those stops. But right now, it was a story of a fabulous, fabulous pit stop from the Grasser Racing Lamborghini. Now a challenge from the Bentley almost in the pit lane. Is up the inside of Pereira, surely to take third place. So hold on, if they put a camera on Dries van Tor's face, there may be a flicker of a smile. He's just possibly gained a points advantage with Pereira being pushed back. The Bentley had the speed to catch the grouping.
There we see the pass.
Look how close they are to the pit wall. Oh,
yes,
wheels over the white line.
Soule got a really good run off the final turn and just used that and courageously went right to the wall in every sense. Watch again, here we have another opportunity. Can Fassler look at Soule also thinking they've got a bit of this action as well. Up the inside for Perez Compact, absolutely been mullered by the Bentley, gets up alongside the Audi. Can he take second place? Yes, he has. And watch the Mercedes too, trying to get a bit of the action. Can this be a Mercedes overtaking the Audi? Which it did. Oh, it's gone.
Well, the Audi had to back off very slightly, did hit the end tail of the Mercedes coming past our window. The Mercedes now in front, the Mercedes into third. All change except for the fact that Ezekiel Perez Compact is still leading the race. But with the speed that Maxime Soule has shown in this Bentley, as I keep pointing at the screen, it's so exciting.
Andy Suchek has eyes out on stop it. Maxim wondering, well, what is going on? The quickest car on the circuit of this group of 4 cars has been Maxime Soule in the M Sport Bentley. He's now going to put a bit of heat onto the back of the Lamborghini. Watch as he comes up into the chicane. He's closing, goes for the inside. Can he get it alongside? Wow, he couldn't get any closer to that as the Lamborghini sort of hops, skips and jumps. Now there's been contact into the chicane. The Mercedes gets second place. Defense from Soule to keep Marcel Fassler from getting up the inside. That would happen because the Lamborghini and the Bentley just didn't give each other sufficient working room. The Bentley loses out, the Mercedes has gained position.
And all along, this is manna from heaven for the Lamborghini driver, but now he's got Pereira challenging. They can't go wide, still that bodywork, debris on the track. Again, Fassler's now up the outside of the Bentley. Soon we'll see the Bentley on the inside, or will we? Has he made the move stick?
On the outside, he has.
All change, all change. What an amazing race. And through it all, we said, will he last for 25 minutes at the front of this race? He's lasted almost 20 of them. Ezekiel Perez Compact leading the way. Look, the smiles back on Maxi Book's face because they are up, the championship leaders, back up into second place, importantly ahead of the number 5 Audi, the car that's closest to them in the points battle. The Mercedes number 8, that Bentley number 8, not in the championship fight at all, not in any of the 7 crews, I'll repeat that, 7 crews that came here with a chance at the title. They fancied glory in this race, and by golly, they so nearly got it, but back down to 4th place. So there's Andrea Caldarelli. He's hiding under his hood, but he's now starting to believe this is a major, major turn-up for the books. The Bentley is coming again. Onto the final lap they go. Mercedes not close enough to challenge, and again we see Maxime Soule so close to the pit wall. Marcel Fassler has to hold on to 3rd position, or it'll stretch that advantage for the HTP Mercedes crew. Very wide on the exit of turn 1, just back to hold track position into turn 2. Maxime Soule is forced to go the whole way, the long way around the outside of this, the final lap. We have 29 laps on the board, lap 30, the final one in this 1-hour race. The qualifying race up the inside into turn 3. It's not quite enough to go through, but a quicker exit out of turn 4 over the curbs on the inside and the Audi over the curbs on the outside. Meanwhile, the Lamborghini continues on its way. Which one of those cars is in the right position for turn 5? It is the Audi, but round the outside at turn 5. Does that mean on the inside to turn 6? No, it doesn't, because he's half off the circuit, pushing as hard as you possibly can, desperate for a podium, but Let's hope this doesn't come to blows, as close as you possibly can get without touching. Looks like Marcel Festa may have done enough. He's taking the defensive line down into the hairpin, putting the Bentley onto the outside line, but wide in can be tight on the way out. Who's going to get the power down better as they come up the hill? But the first two have well and truly escaped during this scrap. Coming out of the final corner for the last time, as though Ezequiel Perez Compact with championship leader Franck Pereira on his tail will finish in the lead, taking victory in what has been an absolutely fantastic race. And car number 19 and 8, that is our race winner, and the car in fourth place, Maxime Soulet's Bentley, under investigation for cutting the chicane. We saw that moment, and in fact it really rather cost both of them, allowed the others to close up. So for Grasser Racing Team, they do have a victory. They would have loved for it to be Mirko Bortolotti and Christian Engelhardt, but it's for Andrea Cornarelli in the garage and out there bringing it home after the checkered flag. No doubt the biggest smile on his face. 19 under investigation for not respecting track limits, along with the number 8 Bentley, the car that won the race and the car that finished in fourth. A 1 second time penalty for cutting the chicane. So victory does go, in fact, not to the Lamborghini, but 84 crew now take victory. A 1 second penalty. Oh, no wonder the drivers feel deflated. The crew feel deflated. So let's go down to John Watson with the winners.
Max, P1, can you explain it, please?
Unbelievable for right now, because I was really happy with P2, and then after the checkered flag it popped up on the screen that we are P1 because they get a second penalty, but amazing.
Did you ever dream you could be in P1 in this qualifying race?
No, not at all, because from P8 I wanted to have a good start and then wanted to have a clean race, score points. Yeah, now it's P1.
Well, Max, you had a pretty easy job. Frank, that was unbelievable to watch. What was it like to be in?
It was fun. It was not nervous, but you know, you have to be careful with the championship, so you never know something what can happen, especially with the Bentley was catching a lot. I knew that he had a big engine, so I think like maybe it's a good idea to let him pass and maybe to let him fight and then I follow.
Frank, you tried to squeeze him into the wall.
I tried a little bit, but it was not enough. No, anyway, it was more tentative race, you know, waiting for a good action to pass. Yeah, he cut the chicane, the Lambo, so tried to defend. It was quite dangerous race, but I just try to be intelligent and to score good points for tomorrow, and it's good for the championship.
Anyway, you made a fantastic race. Well done, guys.
So John Watson with Andrea Cordarelli and Perez Compact.
We're all a bit confused. Can you explain why you're not in the number 1 position, you're number 2?
To be honest, I don't really understand why. They're saying that I cut the chicane, and so they gave me 1 second penalty, so I understand. How can you do the chicane, 2 cars side by side? There's no chance. In fact, I risked my race going in the gravel. You see me sideways in the gravel, and gaining time is unbelievable. You go in the gravel sideways, then you have a...
Okay, oh, slow down. If you hadn't done what you did, what would have happened?
I would have won, for sure.
No, but I mean, would there have been contact? Because obviously you took to the gravel to avoid contact. So if you hadn't gone to the gravel, what would have happened?
For sure, we spin. One of us, he takes me out, and he also ruins his race.
I mean, I mean, you did a great job. You're under pressure all the way, and you defended cleanly. And then all of a sudden it got really tight. What, 2 laps out?
Yeah, it was crazy, to be honest. I was with my eyes looking in the mirror every time. I think my whole stint I never looked in front, so it was crazy. I was driving with my eyes in the back. Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed, Watty. High fever down in the pit lane. So look how close it was, 0.6 of a second. That was after the Lamborghini was pushed back with a 1 second penalty. So victory to Franck Pereira and Maxi Buch. They came here as championship leader. And now with the number 5 Audi finishing in third, they've extended their lead to 7 points. Maxime Soulet, Andy Soucek, so nearly on the podium. In fact, made that challenge for victory up into chicane. And just to look, it is a 7-point advantage. And you know what? First place tomorrow is 7 points more than second. How close do we want this to be? So Dries Van Toor and Marcel Festa still in with a shot at the championship. In fact, the top 5 crews can all still take this. And having seen what happened this afternoon, and you know what? You can see in the background, suddenly we've got dark clouds over the Nurburgring. We got away with a race in perfect conditions. It's looking really, really exciting for the final round of the 27 Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup here at the Nurburgring. That is tomorrow. The teams have plenty to think of, but for the Grasser Racing Lamborghini, it's a case of what might have been. And a brilliant pit stop put their car in the front, but that penalty right at the end gave victory here on the Saturday at the Nurburgring to the HDP Motorsport Mercedes of Franck Pereira and Maxi Buch. They lead into the final. So the final round of the 2017 Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup. We had the qualifying race yesterday here at the Nurburgring. We had a little bit of rain earlier today. That could yet be a factor. But it's all square at the top of the championship. Well, not all square. We have 5 teams still in a tilt at the title. And in the teams championship, we have four of the teams still with a chance of taking the Sprint Cup honours. It is so super close. There are the points. Maxi Buch and Franck Pereira somehow came out at the top of the field yesterday to stretch their advantage to 7 points. Second place, Dries Vanthoor and Marcel Faster. They're the team, the pairing that has the real momentum at the moment. Robin Friens and Stuart Dandard also in an Audi, pitching in to try and topple the Mercedes pairing of Buch and Pereira. Bortolotti and Engelhardt came away with nothing. They're starting way down the grid in. But look out for them, such a strong pairing. But as I pointed out, 5 pairings still have a chance of the title. Let's look at the teams points, and it's Belgian club team WRT top by 11 points. Will that be enough? Because the HTP Motorsport crew are looking very handy with their Mercedes. GRT Grasser Racing Team first to the flag yesterday. That 1 second penalty cost them victory though, back to second place. Team WRT in the mix as well. ACA ASP, the top ranked team that doesn't have a shot at the title, but they would like a really strong final race. Great views. There is the castle over Nurburgring village, which is just to the right hand, to the east of the circuit, and that's in bright sunshine. That maybe is a very good portent indeed. The weather has been mixed, but let's take a look at the track. 17 turns, around 5.137 kilometres, and it starts at the highest point on the start-finish line, drops down to all the way through the dark blue section until you get to the hairpin at the bottom of the hill, and then it's ascending all the way through the Schumacher S's, turns 11 and 12, dropping down, then rising to the chicane, and the final sector, a very short sprint through the chicane and round the final corner onto the start-finish straight. Can you see the straight? Well, you've got stronger eyes than me, because it's awash with people taking a look at these cars assembling down on the grid ahead of the 5th round, the final round of the 2017 Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup. We still have the final Endurance Cup round to settle not just 1 but 2 titles in 2 weeks' time in Barcelona. There is the 63 Lamborghini, normally a front runner, but yesterday they had a disastrous day, starting down with Christian Engelhardt at the wheel on the 10th row of the grid, knocked down to the tail of the field on the opening lap. Bad turned to worse. Already the grid had been jumbled by having wet weather through practice, but Christian Engelhardt, he knows this circuit very well indeed. Favourite place, the racetrack, quite rightly so. He's really going to have to not only put a charge on this afternoon, but he's got to keep out of trouble. Easier said than done when you're starting on row number 10. So he can see the front of the grid, but he'll have to really squeeze his eyes, squint down at the starting gantry. But don't forget, the sister car, the sister Lamborghini Huracan, won the race on the track yesterday, got a 1 second penalty, but its glorious V10 engine makes a wonderful note, and has been a feature all season long. So a big ask for Bortolotti and Engelhardt, who will be kicking the race off. They tried to keep their disappointment in check yesterday, but coming away way down the order in 19th place was not what the doctor had ordered. But let's go down to the grid, because John Watson is with the car on pole position. He's got Franck Pereira, but he's with Maxi Buch. Pereira is starting the race.
Max, a nice moment a minute ago. Your principal competitor in the Blancpain Sprint Cup Championship, Dries Vanthoor, came up and shook your hand.
Yeah, it's a nice gesture, I think, because at the end, who wins? If it will be car 5, car 84. We had, I think, a fun season altogether, and was nice battling with all these guys. And whoever wins, I guess, the race or the championship deserves it at the end.
Now let's get down to the hard yards and stop being nice about your competitors. What in reality has Frank got to do in his stint? What have you got to do in your stint?
Frank has to be on P1. I mean, we try to be on P1. He has to be ideally on P1, give me the car on P1, and I ideally have to finish on P1. But we will see after the first corner.
Now, Max, yesterday you got to P1 in reality because of a penalty to the Lamborghini. Has your car got the pace to lead from the front to the checkered flag?
When we are in the front, when we're on P1, I guess we have the pace to do it, because we are struggling quite a lot with straight line speed this weekend. For us, it's difficult to overtake, but I think that when we are in the front, when we are P1, we can handle it to stay there, and we have the pace to maybe pull a gap.
Any concern about any of the other cars around you getting involved?
No, I think we are professional enough that nobody's doing stupid things.
I'll quote you that one back later. Thank you.
Always good to hear from Maxi Book. The pressure is on. There's a 7-point advantage for victory, 25 against 18 for second place. If they can finish equal on points with Vantor and Fassler, their chief challengers, having won the race, then we'll really have to strip it down. Car 85, this is a few places further back down the grid, a 5-place grid penalty. Unfortunately, Jules Simkowiak, he's the second driver in that car, Fabian Schiller will start it, has received 3 warning points for behaviour on the circuit, so that's cost them a little bit of track position. That's another of the Mercedes from HTP Motorsport. So that's given advantage to 5 other cars with that 5-place grid penalty. Looking from the front of the grid, you can see the 19 Lamborghini that was first to finish yesterday, but that 1-second penalty for cutting the chicane. And Ezekiel Porres-Compact, who drove so well, will be starting that. Other side of row number 7, Enzo Ida on board the number 1 Audi. Fred Vervish brought in this weekend, Christopher Meese's regular teammate away elsewhere, and Belgian Audi Club Team WRT, such a strong pool of drivers to call across from the Endurance Cup as well. But let's go down, because John Watson is with Marcus Winkelhock.
Marcus, is all about the championship in the final round of the Blancpain Sprint Cup Championship. You're joint 4th, but have you got any chance at all, I mean, apart from everybody driving into each other?
For sure we have a chance, but I think it's going to be quite difficult. You know, you have to find a good mix between going risk, because you have to go some risk. It's the last race. Everybody wants to be the champion, but if you go too much risk and you destroy the first corner, the race can be over. So I hope, or I think he will do it good.
Good. Well, you have driver Will Stevens. He's in the cockpit ready to go. Is he prepared to take that risk to give you the chance?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. He has a lot of experience and he knows exactly what to do, and I believe in it.
Keeping an eye on you. Well done.
Thanks very much, Watty. So Will Stevens starting the number 2 Audi from 5th on the grid. It is going to be tough. How much of a risk do you take to the opening corner? Certainly the drivers who are second after the pit stops, the drivers who get into the car second, probably have the rather easier job. But then again, they would want to be in the car and be the one doing the racing. There is the number 90 car looking fantastic. ACA ASP, Michael Meadows will be starting that. Raffaele Marciello would take over, but down on the outside of row 6, that's the grandstand side. Certainly wins the prize, in my eyes, as the best looking car with that fantastic dark blue livery. But the best car in the eyes of the drivers, of course, is the one that's going to be first to the finish. Which one will that be? We will find out. Now it's really starting to get serious. The grid girls moving off the grid now. We can see the cars lined up. Of course, they have a formation lap to go. Dennis and Jot Horse not quite in their grid position, but it will matter only next time around when they form up on the grid. Of course, it's a formation lap into a rolling start, so cancel that. But they're some way back, but we've seen great form from them through the course of the championship, particularly strong last time out at the Hungaroring. So just to reiterate, of course, it's a rolling start. They have to look at the lights on the starting gantry. Marcel Fassler and Dries van Tor, so strong in Hungary. Those 2 wins put them right in the mix. They came here just a few points behind Buch and Pereira, but yesterday their 3rd place has made the gap out to 7 points. And at the wheel of that is Marcel Fassler, and Dries van Tor, still a teenager, is really, really coming on strong. And it's a question of, can he deal with this pressure? Certainly every time he's had the pressure thrown at him, he has responded with great aplomb. The car that was coming really strong at the end of yesterday's race in the hands of Maxime Soulet, the number 8 Bentley, starting on the outside of the second row. Andy Soucek will take that over. And at one stage it looked as though that would come through to take victory, but a little trip up when trying to go for the lead put it back down into 4th behind the number 5 Audi. There is the 19 car, the first to finish yesterday in the hands of the Argentinian racer Ezekiel Perez-Compact, but today it's Andrea Caldarelli who has to stand on the sidelines and watch the first half of the race. So Perez-Compact on the outside of the front row. Frank Pereira, the 84 Mercedes, will lead the field around on their formation lap. Next row back, the number 5 Audi, Marcel Fassler, alongside Maxime Soulet in the number 8 Bentley. Third row, Will Stevens, the number 2 Audi. Had that victory at Zolder earlier in the season, and Stuart Leonard in another of the Audis. His is the one with the yellow nose. And if you look a very, very long way back down the grid, a third of the GRT Racing Lamborghinis. You can see the second place one in about 12th position on the grid, but all the way back to 19th place for a duo that are still in third place in the Drivers' Championship, Bortolotti and Engelhardt, but they got no points, and today it's absolute go for bust. It absolutely has to be go for bust. 1 hour of racing coming up. So the field flagged away, 16 full rows, 32 cars all set for the final round of the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup for 2017. They've got the final endurance round in 2 weeks' time at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona. And it was so close on points coming here to the Nurburgring. Something had to give, and it was for the 63 Lamborghini crew that all went wrong. Contact on the opening lap. One other factor I just want to put into the mix, quite a few new faces this weekend. And a new car. We've got the Lexus out for the first time, entered by Emil Frey Racing, the Lexus RCF, and it showed very well early days through practice and things in the hands of former Le Mans winner Stefan Ortelli. But right now that is a subplot. The real plot is the fact we have 5 crews still in with a chance of the 2017 title. But the driver crew, Buch and Pereira, who lead on with a 7-point advantage, are starting from the best place to start from pole position here at the Nurburgring. There is Franck Pereira at the wheel at the moment. He will hand over to Maxi Buch at around the half distance. Depends where they're lying in the race, but on yesterday's form, being in the lead could well be where we find them, but it's so super close behind them. Ezequiel Perez Compact, hadn't seen him at the front end of the field before. New teammate in Andrea Caldarelli, but he was magnificent under pressure. And then Bergtoff on the bonnet. That means it's the Dries Van Tor, Marcel Fessler, the Swiss veteran at the wheel for the first half of the race. More Le Mans wins under his belt. But he really enjoyed the scrap very much yesterday, and it's the essence of the Blancpain GT Series. So many manufacturers right at the sharp end. It makes it so intriguing. So let's take a look at the grid. It's Franck Pereira on the front row. Outside the front row, the Lamborghini of Ezequiel Perez Compact. Then we have more variety. We have the Audi and the Bentley on the second row. Marcel Fessler ahead of Maxime Soulet. Row 3, 2 Audis. Will Stevens with the green nose and the yellow nose for Stuart Leonard. Then Jens Klingman in the 7th position on the grid, new to the championship yesterday, set the fastest race lap, 7th on the grid alongside Johnny Kane. Flashes of speed from McLaren here. We think they're finding form right at the end of the season. Then it's Marcus Paltela and Vincent Abril, a champion in the past. Number 3, Jake Dennis and Michael Meadows in his Mercedes. So there's the last row we've got time for. Enzo Edi and Fabian Schiller. So the field going around behind on the formation lap, behind the safety car. The ones at the back need to get a bit of a move on. That's the drop from turn 12 down to the kink. They've negotiated it. They should be 2 by 2. Last car on the grid should be Komi Ledegar in the number 58 McLaren. That's the dark one, the black one. Caught in the walls on the opening lap. Still waiting for the last. Piti Birampati, the yellow and blue. He's a challenger in his yellow and blue Ferrari for the Pro-Am honours. But let's just run down. It's Buch and Pereira leading the championship by 68 points, a 7-point advantage over the Fassler Van Tor Audi that starts behind it. So now let's focus, and we have got 3 other teams in with a chance of the title. John Watson's made it up just in the nick of the time into the commentary box as we swing round the corner. The red lights on the start gantry, looking who's going to get a better start. Pereira very close to the pit wall. If anything, Perez Compact out wide, and that's given the Bentley a chance to blast straight past it. Maxime Soulet, so promising yesterday. What a start for him. And being very careful, Dries Van Tor hanging in there in 3rd. 4th becomes 3rd. Bentley in the right position on the exit, but somehow Perez Compact, by going super deep and wide, Watty into the first corner, has managed to nail that 2nd position when all looked lost for him.
Yes, when you come down the inside into turn 1, you have to really slow down because you're so tight on the apex. But look how much of the grass on the inside of the corner Maxime Soulet was taking at turn 3. Then this group of cars side by side out through turn 4. We saw contact there yesterday in the first of these 2 sprint rounds. Now look, well, you have to keep an eye ahead, aside, behind you, all at one time. But as Maximilian Buch said on the grid, if we can get the lead on the opening lap, then we have got a chance to control. He said they're not quite so good in traffic because they don't have quite the top speed that others around do. But again, further through the field, the defence that's going on as we drive down into the bottom of the circuit at turn 8.
Well, fantastic footage through the windscreen of Vincent Abril's number 7 Bentley, getting very, very close to Jake Dennis there in the number 3 Audi. Brilliant weather conditions, but look, Pereira's making escape. Perez Compact holding back Soulet, then a clatter up the back. Oh dear, it's just not McLaren's weekend. Johnny Kane being given a bit of a shove there, rather unfair. They were the magnet of all the action yesterday, but Johnny Kane, Yelsman holding on. I can't see any damage, but the 99 car, Jens Klingman.
The 58 McLaren is in this. Ledegar So one McLaren gets a nudge, another gets the hip and shoulder into the gravel on the outside of the circuit. The field now streaming its way out of turn 12. Yellow flag in sector 1. So there is somebody off on that first sector. Whether that is the McLaren, whether that's somebody else we didn't pick up, we will soon find out. Bentley gets up alongside, dives down the inside, nothing the Lamborghini can do. Good pass, clean pass.
Almost history repeating itself, and out onto the grass, keeping his foot in. He's going to drop to 5th or 6th place. So for Perez Compact, very, very badly wrong. Dries Van Tor up into 3rd place, and in behind a really, really good run from the system. But the BMW was on a massive charge. I think that was the one that clattered the back of Johnny Kane, but 98 rather than 99. So it's Marcus Palsala who's made a really, really positive opening lap. In fact, up into 7th place.
Lamborghini have dropped away back, and that melee coming onto pit straight, getting onto the gravel on the outside. Very little traction there. So the 19 car, Andrea Calderay, and look at this group: the 17 Audi, the 98, and the 99 BMW, nose to tail.
Right, the fly in the ointment is the car that says 03 on the screen, but we really know it's 2nd position. It's Maxime Soule, so strong at the end of the race yesterday, had better pace than the 84 Mercedes. He is going to put the pressure. He's not in the championship battle. Therefore, he and Adi Soucek have done far, far better in the Endurance Series. But now suddenly Franck Pereira has got pressure on him from someone who's not featuring in the Sprint Cup rankings.
The strength of the number 84 car has got that if it finishes in 2nd place and the number 5 Audi finishes in 3rd, the championship still goes to the 84 Mercedes. So the Bentley is not really in the championship race, it's just racing for victory. And if push comes to shove and the Bentley gets really feisty with the 84 Mercedes, it's not a big deal to let it go.
No, exactly so, John. That 98 car is really in the balls now, taking it to 17. Stuart Leonard being shoved out of the way. Marcus Palsala is absolutely flying. But the thing is, Maxime Soule is losing ground to Franck Pereira. Just have a quick refresher of the point standings. If they finish as they are now, that'd be Maxi Buch and Pereira winning by a country mile. In reality, at the moment, though, they know they're nearly an hour away from that. 56 minutes of racing have to elapse, but someone has to get ahead of Buch and Pereira to keep this championship interesting, and I feel there's every possibility that. Just had a quick sighting.
Oh, bodywork. Now, Stuart Leonard was getting monstered coming up into the chicane, whether that's from his car or that's further around the racetrack, trying to identify where we are. That's on the exit, I think, up the hill out of turn 10. So it's the high-speed chicane. Look at the BMW one way, then the other with the 17 Audi. That's Leonard, Stuart Leonard getting, again, he had a hard time coming through the chicane, and he's still getting a hard time.
Where did the speed of these BMWs come from? Yes, Jens Klingman pulled off the fastest lap of the race yesterday, but he finished way down the order. But in the early stage of the race, they are looking super strong. Now, number 3, Jake Dennis, fighting so hard. He was behind, ahead of the Bentley. He's now fallen behind, so Vincent Abril, a better sequence for him. Both of them going wide out of turn 4. Just to point out, 2.2 seconds the gap between Pereira and Soule. Remember that. We'll find out if it's going out. 2 of the Grasser Lamborghinis coming through, and presumably 63 is one of those. And they're way down the order. Engelhardt at the wheel of that.
So
there is 63. He's doing the chasing.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost a forlorn chase. I mean, you don't give up. You push as hard as you can. But they're so far back down the field, currently in 16th place, just behind the 59 McLaren of Andrew Watson.
So the gap, 2.2 second, 1.1 second at the start, at the end of the first lap, 2.2 at the end of the second. It's going out further, and it's a bit of orange. It's the orange one team.
One
Lazarus.
McLaren. Yeah.
Could be the McLaren. Could be the McLaren, of course. That was, we saw a clout of Johnny Kane getting given a thump very early in the race, but his car isn't the largely orange one, so it's one of the sister cars.
Could be the Lamborghini indeed. So up to 6th place, Marcus Paltela has made that pass on Stuart Leonard, so that's further progress for the BMW, the row racing BMW, as we look at the 88. And whereabouts has that fallen all the way down through the field?
Well, let's have a look at a bit of a slow-mo replay where one of the
down in
Lamborghinis going wide.
25th place, so something happened on the opening. There's what happened. Felix Serrales and the 488 Ferrari rotating, so that's why the 88 Mercedes dropped so far down the field. As we see the 488, well, and that's Salikov car. Yep.
Salikov in 488.
And they're coming back
Serrales
with the left rear puncture, no surprise. Stuart Leonard getting the attention of the second of the 2 row racing BMW.
But he's holding up the train because Jens Klingman can't get past Johnny Kane trying to fight back in 43, and you can see the gap ahead is really opening out. And for those at the front of the pack, in that front pack, all the better for them.
Well, Stuart Leonard had that kind of pressure back in Zolder earlier in the year, and he did a great job in his driving stint So he's going to need to do a similar like stint here up until we get to the opening of the pit stop window. But as you rightly point out, Bruce, the gap is opening between Stuart Leonard in 7th and Marcus Pantala, who took over that 6th place just a lap or so ago.
So those who can't get past it, including Vincent Abril, Jake Dennis, the number 3 Audi, getting frustrated. Gap between 1st and 2nd starting is almost exactly equal. So having pulled clear by 2 and a bit seconds, Franck Pereira now has Maxime Soulet with no pressure behind him because he's a second to the good ahead of Marcel Fassler in the number 5 Audi, is trying to close in. There we have them sweeping through the uphill S's, the Schumacher S, and a bit of a gap back to Will Stevens, driving very well in 4th place.
Yeah, just the gap between 1st and 2nd is 2.3 seconds, but more importantly, on the last lap, the fastest lap of the race did go to Franck Pereira in the lead car, and just confirming what Max Book said on the grid, that give us the clear air, we can do our own work, we can drive the car at its true potential. It's when we get into that traffic situation where we're compromised, and this is going to be compromised coming up into the turn, it's chicanes, with the Ferrari limping back. Hopefully it's not going to interfere. No, it doesn't, just about exits sufficiently to enable Franck Pereira to get clear, but the gap looks to me in this lap as if it's come down a little bit. So Maxime Soulet in the number 8 Bentley, really one of the stars, if not the star overall in the closing stages of yesterday's race. 156.30 to Maxime Soulet.
Half a second.
Down to 1.7 seconds. Max Book's face, you could see the look. That's concerned. But remember what I said, they can still finish second as long as the number 5 Audi finishes third.
Yeah, that's all they have to think about, the 84 crew, as long as they finish wherever they are, as long as they're ahead of the number 5 Audi. But that's we can discount the 63 Lamborghini, but 17 still holding up 99. Jens Klingman can't get past. Johnny Kane getting very, very frustrated in there.
Well, you can either get very creative and unimaginative, but sometimes you just got to be patient. There's that gap, 1.7 seconds when they came across at the end of lap 4. So Maxime Soulet had fastest sectors in sector 1 and sector 2, marginally quicker by a tenth or so of a second in each of those sectors over the leading Mercedes.
One little incident under investigation, well, there are 2 at the moment. One is between the number 8 Bentley and the number 19 Lamborghini. We saw that at the end of the lap. The Lamborghini went out over the curbs and beyond.
Oh, this is a restart. We almost had a hot shot.
Here's a replay of the start. Don't get too jumpy, John. So Franck Pereira, brilliant start. And look at the number 8 Bentley coming through. It looks like he'd nailed in 2nd place. Fassler having to settle for 4th and 3rd place with the Lamborghini on the outside. And then it looks like that was the order. But suddenly, round the outside, as you pointed out, it often works. The Lamborghini came.
Reason was the 84 Mercedes braked early because it was close on the inside. Then the Bentley had to do the same. And the Lamborghini was able to sail down the outside, take the long way around, and then reconsolidate itself into that 2nd place. But it was coming out of the final turn 17, where he ran wide, and that allowed the field the best part of 3 cars to take back their respective positions.
Very interesting watching that replay of the start through the windscreen of the number 5 Audi, Marcel Fassler. He ducked to the outside when he realised the Bentley had got past. His best chance was to go wide on the corner. Didn't quite work. Was 4th place. Has become 3rd. The gap comes down again. 1.27.
Half a second.
Another half second. So it's nearly a second in 2 laps. And now we can still see Marcus Pantala coming and coming and coming up onto the tail of Perez Compact. Perez Compact takes the tighter line in the 19 Lamborghini, but will be wide on the exit. In fact, Pantala pretty wide on the exit too. So just to reiterate, Franck Pereira leading this race by 1.27 seconds, but it is coming down. Maxime Soulet giving chase. And also one of the quickest cars early in the race is this number 98 BMW. Picked its way up the order, gained places from 9th on the grid, running 6th, and certainly has the potential to go further, but it has to get past the car in front to do that, and that's Ezekiel Perez Compact. And then the train of cars, 7th place backwards, Stuart Leonard, Jens Klingman, Johnny Kane, Vincent Abril, again as ever in the Blancpain GT Series, a great array of manufacturers. And here is the 488 Ferrari, drive-through penalty for causing a collision. Certainly he was the one to blame for that incident with the 88 Mercedes. So he's limped back with the puncture. Now he's got to drop himself very much to the tail end of the field, or further off the back for that as punishment.
It's going to be a lonely race for the 488 Ferrari, but there we are. But look at the Bentley, the pace of the Bentley. We saw this in the closing stages yesterday. We're seeing it now in the opening stages in the what you might call the championship round. This is the final round of 5 for the Blancpain Sprint Cup. And up the inside, the BMW looking very, very racy, trying to find a way to get around the 17 Audi. And that is no easy task. Stuart Leonard still using the racetrack to his advantage. The BMW clearly capable of lapping more quickly But of course, it's the same old story. You can catch, but can you get past? Now it goes right to the outside of the circuit. Stuart Leonard comes back. He's fully entitled to do that. That's not blocking. That's just taking your own racing line. And once again gets into the chicane ahead of the BM.
It's under a second, the gap from first to second. Soule is 0.938 of a second, super close in that battle for 7th place. Looked at there. Marcel Fessler running nearly 4 seconds down on Soule's Bentley, but this train of cars is a Bentley in the minute. That's Vincent Abril. He's carrying one of our onboard cameras in the number 7. And now Poulter is attacking on the outside. He can't jink round to the inside. Can Johnny Kane do something really smart? No, he can't, but Jens Klingman in the mix as well.
So it's all very tight coming through this group of cars from 7th all the way down to basically about 12th position. There you see them coming into turn 2. Stuart Leonard with that little bit of breathing space.
But Klingman's new to the team, the BMW driver, so he's finding his form, but very impressive. But one lap speed versus racing speed is always a different matter. Riding on board still with Vincent Abril down the hill in 10th place. Johnny Kane still in front of him in the best place of the McLarens. The McLarens found form this weekend in mixed conditions, but then Rob Bell, second into the opening corner yesterday, clouted up the back, damage, and it really lost their best shot. So Andrew Watson starting that car today, but from way down the grid accordingly. He will have to pick his way up the order.
So there is the second place Bentley thundering its way up through the Schumacher instance. Those are turns 9
Drive-through penalty for number 8. We saw it was under investigation, so he's got to under a second, but for assisting the number 19 off the track. Look of thunder from Andy Soucek, nothing he can do. I'd like to see a replay of that moment.
Yes, that's an interesting call, because we saw the 19, the Lamborghini, running wide on the exit, but whether that was, well, obviously the stewards.
Okay, let's ride on board. This is with Marcel Fessler in behind the Bentley and the Lamborghini. This is right at the end of the opening lap. Bentley dives up the inside.
And that point,
that looks
side
right.
by side, that to me is perfectly acceptable.
God, good camera work here.
He's holding his line, he's taking his line in the exit of the corner. Well, I mean,
I didn't see a swerve.
Clear my throat on that one, I think.
Okay, so there we have the Bentley coming in. So they weren't featuring in the championship. All their good results, the 8 crew, has been in the Endurance Cup, but a drive-through penalty will drop him down.
Well,
6th place car has gone past him already.
It's going to be out into the top 20 at best. So that's a pretty, I think, interesting call. But what it does do at night elevates the number 5 Audi to being the car that is now 5.3 seconds behind the lead car, the 84 Mercedes of Frank Pereira, as the Bentley rejoins, and he's going to come into a gaggle of the midfield, and almost you can see cars pulling across to try and dive down the inside as the Bentley rejoins. So Maxime Soule has to regroup, get his thoughts back into his head and focus on what's ahead of him and not be concerned about what happened to him just a moment ago.
Well, there's the new car in the championship. Just behind the number 8 Bentley is the 54 Lexus. So that gives us an idea. Stefan Ortelli driving that across the start-finish line in 24th place. So it's been a big blow for the Bentley Team M Sport crew there. And suddenly, as you point out, Frank Pereira is sitting on a comfortable lead that he should be able to carry all the way through to the driver changes. That also gives them the opportunity to decide when and how they want to pit. They can check where the traffic is on the track. And for Marcel Fessler, he's got a tidy advantage over Will Stevens now. There is Stevens, the green-nosed Audi, and behind him, of course, we've got Ezekiel Perez-Compang, Marcus Poulter, then the gap, Stuart Leonard. They've all gone up one position. Instead of 7th, he's in 6th, and the train behind. Jens Klingman, Johnny Kane, Vincent Abril, Jake Dennis, et al. Included in that battle. The 63 now. Engelhardt, of course, they were championship challengers until the slip up yesterday in the 63 Lamborghini. There at the back of that tail of cars coming out of the turn 12 to drop down into the compression.
Yes, I mean, the big shame of the 63 Lamborghini was not so much what happened to it yesterday as what happened to it in qualifying on Saturday morning when they got caught by those 2 red flags, and they were both on laps when the Lamborghini was going for a pole time. Mirko Bertolotti behind the wheel, and consequently they started much deeper into the field, and the consequence was they got clipped, and that was effectively the end of their sprint race, I suppose. So this is now the championship race, but look at this group of cars diving all over the place as the Bentley dives up the inside trying to get ahead of the McLaren. Johnny Kane squeezes side by side, and he maintains his position. That was a tough battle just for those few yards. The Bentley technically was ahead, but it didn't have the momentum off the corner, which is what you get if you take the wider line. Therefore, you're on the par earlier, more speed on the exit.
Well, side by side, the 42 McLaren, Lewis Williamson in the mix. He's in 12th place, right behind the 85 Fabian Schiller-driven car. Now another onboard camera. This is the 63 Lamborghini. We were talking about that. It missed the cut for the Q3 by 1 position due to its 2 fastest tyres being taken away. And all weekend it's been playing catched up, pitched to the back of the field with contact on the opening lap yesterday, right in among the action behind Lewis Williamson's McLaren as well today. Let's see, can they advance? Certainly the driver pairing is very, very strong. Lost a little bit of momentum when they get too close there.
Yeah, I mean, he tried to stick his nose up the inside into turn 6, and the McLaren rightly and fairly closed the door.
So let's have a look. Wonderful replay. This is the run down through turn 6. Everyone going out over the curves. The Lamborghini going way out over the curves. That's definitely all 4 wheels, but we can't tell. Is that Dillman or is it 63? Is it Engelhardt? Sorry, Rolke Nikens in the sister car, 82. So here we have our race leader, Franck Pereira, leading by, it was 5.3, it's now 5.9 seconds. He can afford even to shed a few seconds. Now it's 6.5.
Stopped on the pit. Well, that's why there's we've got a sector 3.
No, 75 out is the ISR car. And that's Kevin Chekon.
Well, that looks like they had to put a load of extinguishant into the engine cover. Whether that was a fire, we didn't get to see that. We may have a camera that will pick up the calls, but wisely stopped at a fire point to enable but of course racing drivers on the left-hand side of the track as they come down into turn 1 are required to slow down. A brave fire marshal going onto the track, and whether they will want to put out a full Courchello or a safety car to get that car removed, because it looks as if they're still not satisfied that whatever the problem was has been resolved.
Yeah, here comes the safety vehicle to try and ensure that they have more extinguishing, etc. The field really slowed
down now, because there has to be, I'm sure,
looking for any signal that says safety car. Just remember, it was 6.7 seconds the advantage. We don't know if there's a safety car yet.
Yeah, there's a full Courchello.
Full Courchello, yeah, there we have it for sure.
We didn't get it quite as quickly as the drivers would have had it on their cars, so that's why everybody now has to run at a mandatory speed, and they're not allowed to make up or, sometimes does happen, lose position. But concern with the ISR team, and plenty of fire extinguishers available still if they can't get control of whatever the issue is. We don't know whether it's an engine or whether it's simply an oil or a hydraulic fire, is often the case. Hot fluid getting onto the exhaust system does not take asking a second time.
No, and it's been a rotten weekend. Frank Stippler tipped into a spin yesterday, very, very early in the race, and now Kevin Chekon, his stint not lasting as long as they would have wanted. So gap from the leader, 6.7 seconds. You can see Marcel Fessler in the red nose, number 5 Audi, cresting from turn 10 up to turn 11. It will stay stable. Pointed out they all have to run at a fixed speed. 3rd place car, 2nd of the Audis, Will Stevens just coming up behind. He's another 2.5 seconds down, but that looks rather more actually.
Yeah, what's going to be interesting is we've got 40 minutes of this race remaining. The pit lane window opens in 5 more minutes. How long will it take for that car to be cleared from where it is? It's being pushed as we're sitting in our commentary booth. We can look down the pit lane.
It's got a gate. The gate is just opening.
There is an access gate to get the car into the pit lane. So hopefully, the full Courchello will be removed and everybody then can get back to racing before the pit stop window then is formally opened.
So yes, the car is now into the pit lane. They've got to get the course vehicle off the circuit on the start-finish straight, close the gates. There is 75 coming through the gap in the pit wall, but there'll be another lap, I would suggest.
Yes, another lap at least. What you have to be aware in this situation is where the line on the racetrack is to indicate when the track goes green, when you can get on it. And that, from my understanding, will be somewhere around the exit of turn 12. So everybody right now will need to be aware that at any point, race director can throw the track green, and if you're sitting, having a nice Sunday afternoon gentle drive around the racetrack, be aware it's not going to happen on this lap, because the safety car, the vehicle that was there to assist, still on track, and they want to make sure that everything is clear on track.
Now here's the grouping with 7th, 8th backwards. Jens Klingman, big gap. In fact, he seems to have lost a lot of ground to the car in front. Number 06, the yellow-winged Audi. He was right on its tail. Why is the gap so big? Did the full course get yellow? Did they see it before Stuart Leonard did? Because he's caught up pretty much with Palsala, yet there was a big gap from Leonard. Leonard's gained a lot of ground in that, whereas Klingman backwards. Klingman, Johnny Kane, Vincent Abril, Jake Dennis, Fabian Schiller, Lewis Williamson alternatively have lost. Looking for any messages on the screen, nothing being gained. But there is a driver who did gain, number 17. He'll be handing that over to his teammate Robin Freitz very soon indeed. And they are sitting 4th in the championship battle on 57 points, equal with Bortolotti and Engelhardt. They're way ahead of them in track position, so they should move past. And
but the gap between first and second
has come right down.
It's come right down as well.
So the first 6 cars running all but nose to tail. Don't forget, I pointed out, I wrote it down, it was 6.37 seconds. 6.7 seconds gap between first and second, between Pereira and the chasing Marcel Fessler. Safety car still out. Well, it's gone from full course yellow to safety car now, you see.
The reality is no one is meant... Well, there we got the safety car now.
That's why it's bunched.
That's a different situation. So they all can close up together. Under the full course yellow, you're not permitted. But as the consequence of the safety car being deployed, then this is what you get. Full course yellow is probably the more fair way, because if you've built up a lead, then you should have it when the course goes green. Once the safety car has been introduced, then the field is then required to basically get into line behind the safety car, and once that is complete, then the field will be let go once again. But we've got only 2 minutes before the pit lane opens.
It's going to be very, very busy in there, so Stuart Leonard wasn't trying to steal a march, he simply was the quickest to react. Maxi Bouk waiting, safety car in at the end of this lap, but it won't be quite, well, hold on, they're always slow behind the safety car, but he's going to take less than 2 minutes. They're going to have to all do another lap. It'd be full racing speed before the first of these can come in and make their pit stop. So Stuart Leonard in the yellow-nosed Audi simply was the first to react to the safety car rather than the full course yellow. That's why he closed up. Then eventually behind him, Jens Klingman got wise to it as well and closed the gap back up. But you have to really feel Maxime Soulet, down in 20th position after that drive-through penalty. We keep an eye on that, so they can't come in. The safety car has withdrawn, and Franck Pereira, he sat on that lead of 6.7 seconds. He's got to do it all over again. He's only got a few minutes in which to do it. He could stay out for another 12 minutes if he wanted, but the race order as we restart, it's Franck Pereira for the number 5 Audi of Marcel Fessler, Will Stevens, the green Audi, in 3rd place, and Ezekiel Perez-Compang defending today as he defended yesterday, under great pressure there from Marcus Palsala in the number 98. Tail happy BMW there out of turn 1.
You have to think that the 2 lead cars are going to more or less, whatever one does, the other will do. They've got the advantage, and I suspect that they're going to stay out slightly longer than others. Others will take the opportunity, but of course, with everybody being so bunched together, it will be where you've come back into the field and whether you can make progress with whether a fresh set of tyres, or in some cases teams will have managed to hold back a brand new set of tyres.
Okay, there's Dries van Tor pacing the pit lane with his red, black, yellow and gold helmet livery, very patriotic Belgian racer. And it looks, well, they've got the choice because they've got lots of sister cars, don't they? Belgian Audi Club Team WRT, but still there are 3 HTP Motorsport Mercedes, so they don't want to get pit crowding. Right opposite our commentary box, I can see Maxi Bouk jumping up and down, and he's waiting to take over the lead Mercedes, the 84 Mercedes. But of course the lead had been 6.7. It's down to just under a second at the start of this lap, and it looks to be holding station. The 2 Audis in 2nd and 3rd places behind Marcel Fessler, Will Stevens, and still Ezekiel Perez-Compang, the best of the Lamborghini racers. Pit window is now open.
So who is going to blink first? Is it going to be the 84 Mercedes? Maximilian Bouk is standing in the position he would do to take the car over from Franck Pereira. They wait to see whether Mercedes is coming up to the chicane. This is on the 12th lap, and pit lane window is open. Audi directly behind, so the Mercedes. Audi drops in, so Marcel Fessler has decided, as does the BMW that was running in 5th place.
Palsala and Leonard has come in
as well as one of the McLarens.
Okay, so basically most of the cars outside the top 10 are coming in. It's going to be very, very busy in the pit lane. The Attento Lamborghini dives in. Ortelli brings the Lexus in, but race lead now in the hands. Well, still in the hands of Franck Pereira. 2nd place now, Will Stevens, but right the way down towards pit exit is where you'll find the garage for the number 5 Audi crew. Won't go into the garage, park in front, and here is Marcel Fessler coming to a halt.
Well, this is going to be the pit stop of their lives. They said yesterday that one of the straps, when Marcel Fessler got in, got hung up. That's why their pit stop is a little slower than they would normally expect. So this has got to be absolutely seatbelt, driver change, wheel, tyre change, perfect for this car have any chance. They're moving. Oh, and one of the mechanics is taking the tumble. I think he was caught by the leading edge of the rear wing end plate. He's okay, but the car is rolling. Guys happy with what they did. That looked a pretty good stop from the WRT.
I think we can call it very, very fiercely competitive. Didn't really see why the mechanic went for a tunnel. Yeah, one absolutely does. But don't forget, Franck Pereira still out on the circuit. Will Stevens in the number 2 Audi still out on the circuit among the front runners.
Big question that HTP will now have to ask is, did they get it wrong? Should they have come in at the earliest opportunity and gone head-to-head with the number 5?
Well, the Lexus can only race itself on its debut in the championship. Albert Costa, Spanish racer, just taken over from the Monegasque. Stefan Ortelli, great to have that new manufacturer on board this weekend. So Franck Pereira, will he come in this time around? He's got a gap of about 3 seconds, maybe slightly more, back to Will Stevens in the number 2 Audi.
No, he won't, because Max Book is not standing in the pit lane any longer. Now, was that a bluff to force the WRT Audi team into bringing in their driver? As then comes that's the 2.
Well, that's Will Stevens and Perez Compact. So the cars from 2nd and 3rd. Yeah, Maxi Bouk has vaporised. He's gone back into his pit garage. He was there just to entertain John and I. So Pereira still at the wheel of the car, coming out just behind some other Mercedes, but he's almost a lap up on them, of course. They've made their pit stop, both from Acura ASP. They will get out of the way.
He needs their assistance. He needs those 2 cars to be fully aware that the 84 car can win or lose this race, this championship, if they don't help, basically.
So suddenly very, very busy again. The second batch of pit stoppers in from 3rd place in the race. Will Stevens and looking for Marcus Finkelhoff, that wise old head of his, hopping on board. And number 5 still flashing around the circuit after its pit stop. That's the pit leader officially down in 15th place overall of the time sheets. It will rise up. That's Dries van Tor. Slightly irrelevant at the moment. It's where he stands next to the 84
more
Mercedes.
Importantly, he's got clear air. Where is smoke coming off the back of the...
Well, Winkelhoff may almost come out ahead of his teammate. No, it's all right. The number 5 Audi has gone back through. Now Dries van Tor has got out ahead as expected. And also the order behind the number 2 Audi just out ahead of the number 19 Lamborghini. So no places lost or gained among them. We still have to wait for the 84 Mercedes to come in, however.
Well, the gap, looking down the field, the gap between, it's 25 seconds between 15th and 14th place. I'm just trying to see the gap between the lead car, which is the 84 Mercedes still, and the 5 Audi, which was the first of the pit stoppers of that lead group. And the key for Dries van Tor is that he slotted into that bit of the racetrack where there is nobody either challenging, which is not going to be a big issue, but more importantly, no one delaying him. Whereas the lead car has still yet to clear these, one of the 2 of the ACA ASP Mercedes, so is Maxi Bouk.
Maxi's back out in the pit lane. You can't see him behind
He's coming in, he's in the pit lane.
Okay, this is critical time, and just to reiterate whilst it's coming to a halt, the number 5 Audi ahead of the number 2. Will Stevens, though, is in the championship battle with Winkelhock.
And Van Thor has gone fastest of all on this current lap 14 in Sector 1. So this is the battle. This is going to be the maker. There is the number 5 coming up into turn 11. And Mercedes comes to a standstill. Franck Pereira gets out. Maximilian Bouk is in. HTP go to work. Rear tires off. Fresh ones on. Run round the car. Get that front undone. Get the new one on. Door closed.
But looking at the pace that Van Tor has been setting around this lap, he's doing his absolute utmost to see if he can come in. So he's coming up to the chicane as the door is closing. The Mercedes is still on its jacks. Now it's down on terra firma.
But he's got
and it's away.
Full length of the pit lane at 50 kilometers per hour. Here the number 5 car is coming out of the final turn. He's got to make his way down the straight, but he can do it at racing speed. Where is the Mercedes? It's not even just appearing in sight now.
No, the 5 Audi has got it. It's definitely at full racing speed, and the Mercedes not yet past the white line. A brilliant job from the team WRT crew. What an outlap, though, from Dries van Tor.
Question is, did HTP get it wrong? Should they have come in early? Because that's what WRT did. And look, Maximilian Bouk runs wide on that fresh set of rubber in turn 1. He's got to recalibrate, settle down. He knows he's got a fight in his hands, because if they finish in 1st and 2nd positions, they will end up on equal points, Bruce, but the number 5 Audi will win the championship because they've won more races. Got it all out.
John, I was about to say, you've got to calm down, but fantastic description. I was about to go to the points. Now, interestingly though, look, we've got the green nose Audi. This could be the one that makes the big difference. It was started by Will Stevens, taken over by Marcus Finkelhoff. They too harbour championship hopes, but right now their main role, I think, is going to be to put the pressure on Maxi Bouk. Does Maxi crack under the pressure, however? Winkelhock will be applying it, and all along I think Dries van Tor will be pulling clear. He set a new fastest first sector of anyone. He's doing everything that's been asked of him.
He set a new fastest race lap as well. There is the leader, number 5, up through the Schumacher turns 9 and 10. There's the Mercedes in second place, wider on the exit of the first part of that through turn 9. Doesn't look like he's got the grip in the car quite yet. So Max Buch will be very concerned because the gap that he is seeing, if he can even see it, between the lead Audi, there it is, making its way down to turn 13 before the Mercedes is even into turn 12. That's a large gap, maybe 6 or 7 seconds.
85 in the crew, the HTP Motorsport car, but that wasn't the 84. The 84 has made it stop, but the thing is, the fastest driver on the track at the moment is leading. He's stretching the lead, so brilliant pit stop from Belgian Audi Club, Team WRT, on the number 5 car. But the performance of Dries van Tor in his opening laps, this is a driver who's giving absolutely everything.
And he is just, well, he's just not calculating, he's just maximising. There is the gap coming onto the straight. Let's have a look and see when they come across the line, because they're still, in fact, Van Tor, it's 6.2 seconds as they came across the line at the end of lap 15.
But it's very, very close behind. In 4th place, we've got Perez Companc has handed over to Andrea Cordarelli, and I think I saw Robin Freets diving down the inside. Did he make it work into turn 1? The yellow-nosed Audi, which one's coming out ahead?
He did.
He made it work, and now we've got the better placed of the BMWs right in that battle as well. Fantastic racing. Jesse Krohn in the 98 car. Really, really close, but great move there from Robin Freets. Didn't look for a second invitation.
There is the gap. It's a visual gap. But the worst thing for Maximilian Buch is he can see that 6.2 seconds. Max Buch has just, on that last lap, given us fastest sector time in sector 2. But, of course, he's had to go and realise, reassess, recalibrate what his thoughts are. The speed of the number 5 Audi is going to be a big problem. His only hope is that if there's another full course yellow, or better still for him, we see a safety car intervention, that then will reset all the timing and scoring and put the lead car, second place car, back to being nose to tail. But, you know, if all the good work has been done by the number 5 team in the pit lane...
OK, John, here's an answer of what happened.
Laps,
the number 5 pit stop, it was a super pit stop, and we're told it's an airline, gets caught around the rear wing.
Yes, it did.
And it just caught the arm and tipped over the mechanic, so it wasn't hit by anything. And the team manager of race car number 5, the race leader, Dries van Tor, the equal championship leader, to go to race control immediately. Oh,
would that be a penalty or not? Because that is not permitted. You have to have every part of the pit stop, the wheel tire change has to be clear of the car. If a wheel rolls into the pit lane, that's a penalty. We've seen other penalties being applied for, in the case of the number 8 Bentley, easing the number 19 Lamborghini slightly wide in the exit of turn 1. That's an interesting view from Maxime Soulet later in the afternoon. But there is the second place Mercedes getting more and more and more pressure from Marcus Winkelhock, who's pulling away from Robin Freens marginally on this last lap.
Just one thing I want to bring in the mix, John. 5 driver combinations could have won this title. The 63 Lamborghini crew out of it because they had to start down in 19th place. But the top 4 on points are the top 4 on the circuit at the moment. And we stress at the moment as Palsala's teammate Jesse Krohn takes on the championship. That's the 99 car, that's the sister car that is pressing on so very hard indeed. That's Antonio Felix da Costa. So BMW really coming good in this race. And now Vincent Vos up on the pit wall trying to explain what is happening. A lot of concern. Thierry Tassin looking around the brains trust of Belgian Audi Club Team WRT. So is our race leader about to go tumbling down? Not the leader on the track, because in fact 99 made a very late pit stop. Pit stop window is only just closed, but the real leader of the race, Dries van Tor, leading very tidily, but there is concern in the pit lane. 7.3 seconds.
Vincent Vos has right to be concerned, because if that was another car and they were challenging that car, they would be looking to see what the judgment would be by the race stewards, to see whether that was a technical infringement. Here's the Mercedes coming in a replay, so let's have a look and see where this pit stop.
Why was it so slow? This is the big question. It all looked very orderly.
So we're going to keep an eye on the left, rear goes on okay. Left front comes off, left front goes on.
It wasn't sitting straight.
The gun, it didn't get the gun on square, so that cost them certainly maybe a couple of seconds at most. All these things are cumulative. They just add and compound upon themselves. So Maximilian Buch gets away on the wrong foot. But I go back to my comment initially. Was their judgment to stay out those extra 2 laps after the 5 Audi had made its pit stop? Was that the right judgment, regardless of whatever happened with the wheel change?
So much to think about. The racing so super close. This has been an astonishing season for the Blancpain GT Series. Franck Pereira did everything he could. He had that big advantage he'd built up. Scuppered, taken away, blown out of the water by the safety car coming out. Full course, he had kept it fair, but as soon as the safety car came out, that lead came down to nothing. Then the hurry in the pit stop, and it's all been reversed.
Well, this is the pressure of these pit stops. I mean, they're becoming... They're just so quick. I mean, the whole program of how these the engineers train, and the sequence of whether they do the left side, the right side, whatever first, it's all choreographed, and that's where you can win and lose. If it goes wrong, inevitably it's going to cost you time, and that's what appeared. The left front certainly was slow being fully attached on the 84 Mercedes, where it was a pretty seamless stop, with the exception of that airline getting caught around the rear wing end plate and tipping one of the engineers over in the pit lane. So we're waiting to hear if there's any further action by the stewards as to whether that is a technical infringement.
Well, we haven't had any message saying it's clear. The racing action at the moment is the battle for third place. Markus Winkelhock being pushed very, very hard by the sister car, the 17 Audi, pushing the number 2. So no message on our timing screen at the moment about any further concerns, but number 5 crew will be sweating it out, leading the race by 7.4 seconds, being driven beautifully by Dries van Tor. But now we're seeing Maxi Boot starting to wind up. If it finishes as it is, John, as you pointed out, the top 2 crews will end up on 86 points. Winkelhock and Stephen Fritzen, they're fighting over third place on the track. But what is going to happen between that lead pairing? Should they get close enough? There's a 7 and a bit second gap. They're not racing with each other. Well, they are, but...
Well, the race is that the 84's got to catch and overtake the number 5 Audi, and then the minute it's going the wrong way, the gap is over 7 seconds. And there doesn't above somebody way wide. Is that Maxi Book? It is Maxi Book, way wide on the exit of turn 17, and that's blown the doors off HTP's any chance they had. And even the 63 Lamborghini, which wasn't even in the races, and there's that a problem? No, that's a puncture for them. I think there's a puncture on the left front or left rear. It's the left front. The Mercedes has got a puncture.
That was the one that had trouble fitting.
Well, that's the one they had trouble fitting. But was that the cause or was that the effect? But you just saw this big cloud of dust as a car went wide. It's the number 17 Maximilian Book. Franck Pereira. He's not even. Well, he's going to struggle to make it back.
He's got a whole lap.
Look at the reactions. Franck Pereira absolutely distraught. Maxi Book is pulled off.
He's out.
Whatever the problem is at the hub. Well, the wheel's not rotating. I don't know whether that was because he might have been on the brakes. He's pulled the car off the racetrack, and the championship now is in the hands of number 5 Audi, Dries van Tor. And all he has to do is bring this car home, and he and Marcel Fassler will walk away from Nurburgring, the Blancpain Sprint Cup champion. And for Dries van Tor in his first full year as a sort of, not a child driver, not a youth driver, I mean, distraught images of Maxi Book getting out of the car.
The two sides of a coin, the relief at Audi, but the total despair. Battlefield, what a sponsor for them. It has been a battlefield out there. Mind you, we don't know if there are any further penalties, of course, for the number 5 crew for that pit stop penalty, and the 2 crews behind them, 2nd and 3rd, are also in the championship battle. We've lost 84. Your heart goes out to them. Oh, what a mishap.
Still no indication if there will be any penalty at all for the number 5 at Vincent Vos, and what's he doing? Deep in conversation. So I'm not persuaded, Terry Tassin, I'm not persuaded yet that they're in the clear, because that would then hand the victory to the number 2 Audi.
So sitting on a really big advantage on the track now, with Book having gone out from 2nd place. So Van Tor nearly 11 seconds clear, but then really close behind fellow Audi racers. Markus Winkelhock. What are you doing on the points there, John?
If there was a penalty for number 5
and it drops in,
Winkelhock Stevens win the race, they would end up with 81 points. It would depend where the number 5 Audi would drop back in as to whether they could be in a position. They've currently got 86 points, so they're 5 points ahead.
Okay, let's make it more complicated.
Theoretically, they've got 61 points.
But what if the 17 car, Robin Fritz, is pushing so hard, 3rd on the track? If he's got 1 more point above Winkelhock at the moment, no, it's still serious down in WRT, still debating what can happen, what will happen. How do we know? Anything has happened, and everything has happened in the course of this race. Winkelhock holding on to 2nd place, Robin Fries pushing so hard, Enzo Caldarelli, who was passed by Fries very early in this stint, still serious conversation down there.
Absolutely.
Look at Thierry Tassin, he's shaking his head. And poor Maxi Boot, he's won titles before.
What a way to lose it.
You
lose it on the racetrack, you can say that was a battle between the 2 teams in the pit lane, the 2 drivers, or the 4 drivers on the racetrack. But looking at his girlfriend and family members, they are at the well. You can tell by the looks on their faces. Vincent Voss runs out over the pit lane to the pit wall. Has he got clarification? Is he satisfied? Is he going to be on the radio to Dries Van Voor and explain to him what might take place, or to explain to him, we're all clear, just drive to the finish, you've got 18 and a half minutes to go?
I think the way he ran out, it is what will take place, John. I really fear for Dries Van Voor that a driver penalty is coming away. So let's ride on board. No one ahead of him, lapping at fantastic pace. The fastest driver out there at the moment. This will be really, really cruel. It's cruel on Maxi Boot. We think the problem was the front left wasn't fitted right and something occurred at the end of the lap. It's not like Maxi to go wide over the curbs. Certainly he was under pressure at the time. Winkelhock was trying to close in behind him, but riding around the lap, track conditions perfect. And for now, all seems perfect in the world of the number 5 Audi. But of course, we haven't had the radio message, John, that Vincent Voss has sent to Dries Van Voor.
We don't know what might have been communicated, but Dries Van Voor coming through turn 2, then that sort of extension of 2 into the tighter turn 3. You want to hug the curb as much as possible to then make the cut back to get a straighter 9, and then as straight as exit as you can out of turn 4. And then for a moment or a second or 5 seconds, you got a chance to breathe, just get the car position. It's a funny camber as you come into turn 5. It's an early apex, then again, same with 6. And just there's sort of a 1-speed corner. There's not an awful lot you can do to make up time. You can lose time. Now again through the curve of 7, down the hill into the braking zone. The heavy braking into turn 8.
And meanwhile, cameo roles being played out. Suddenly the fastest first sector of anyone is Ben Barnicoat down in 27th position. It's a curious, furious race out there at the Nurburgring. We didn't know what to expect. We came here with 7 crews with the possibility of taking the title. After yesterday's qualifying race, we lost 2 of them. We've still got 5 in the mix. I can't read the lips of Vincent Voss, but he's certainly passing a message that suggests something is untoward for number 5. It wasn't. It's all right. You're in the clear. Keep going. He's sitting on an 11-second lead. All Van Voor is doing now is pressing as fast as he possibly can. He's got to stretch the advantage. If he's got a drive-through penalty or whatever is coming this way, he's got to shave every half second off he possibly can.
Absolutely. I mean, we don't know whether there will be any judgment made or whether there's been no action taken, no further action taken. We are not advised on our timing and scoring, so one would assume that no further action is being taken. But the point is, as you point out, number 5 Audi does need to maintain its momentum. Last lap of 156.7, so that's about as quick as the field is doing in general. There's the second place car, Marcus Winkelhock, and he's got Robin Freins right under the green wing of the number 2 Audi, number 17.
Yeah, but it's great when you look at that long shot, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, etc. And now Andrea Cordarelli is starting to wind that 19 Lamborghini up. Deprived victory yesterday by that 1 second penalty for jumping the chicane. And the 98 BMW, that car has come to life today. Brilliant opening sector of the race by Marcus Palsel, and now Jesse Krohn tucking in behind. So really right now I think Winkelhock is almost backing them up, not intentionally. Franck Pereira doesn't know whether to pack his coat and head straight to the airport, out of the championship for HTP Motorsport. He and Maxi, but he's obviously going to wait until Maxi comes back.
Yeah, I mean Max pulled off at the bottom effectively of the front straight, so it's not a very long distance to get back into the paddock and get back up to the team. Of course, the Mercedes HTP team are parked up at the first 2 boxes as you come into, and we're trying to get some information from the team as to what was the cause of the car's retirement and whether they'll be prepared to give us that information. I can understand if they don't, but hopefully we'll get some stories to give us the reason why we saw the 84 Mercedes run wide in the exit of 17. At that point, it looked like it was a tire had been cut down, but actually it looks like something more serious because the sparks that were coming from under the car indicated maybe there was a mechanical issue as well.
How much harder does Robin Freins have to push before he can topple number 2, Marcus Winkelhock? They're teammates in name, but out on the circuit, not necessarily teammates in nature. Don't forget these 2 crews, the 2 and 17 Audi crew, with the Boot Pereira car now out of the mix, could get up into the top 2. Either of these cars could win the title race, but the number 5 Audi, 12 seconds now up the track, clear of them, still waiting to hear if Dries Van Voor and Marcel Fessler, who started the race, are home and hosed. Are they clear? Will there be a penalty coming their way? But the faces down in the pits, I know the tension's high. You don't want to read all of those faces. They don't know really where to look. Enzo Ida, he did his job in the number 1 Audi, but the whole array. Will Stevens willing the team on. He's willing Winkelhock on in 2nd place.
But Robin Freins down the inside, clean pass good, courageous manoeuvre, but Winkelhock is going to look for the undercut to try and get back, but a late lunge from Robin Freins and sort of caught Marcus Winkelhock slightly unawares, and he wasn't in the position because it happened so quickly. He couldn't really defend the car. The number 17 Audi just was alongside. So number 8 drive-through penalty.
Drive-through penalty coming now. We haven't worked out exactly how long the pit lane is, but we know it's a 12.5 second lead there. 12.5 second lead. The drive-through penalty finally came. We knew from those faces something was coming. Will Stevens just seen his car taken out of what would now have become the lead of the race. Marcus Winkelhock would have taken the lead, so it's Robin Freins into the lead.
There's no Robin Freins. The number 17 car isn't particularly in the... What it is.
Yes, it is. It's in equal third place.
So Robin Freins, and this could be another twist in the tail. So number 17, Stuart Leonard, Robin Freins, have the opportunity to become the Blancpain Sprint Cup champions.
That's why I was getting excited about the battle with the Marcus Winkelhock car, because they had 1 point more in their bag. The yellow nose car, Robin Freins. What a move though! That sudden change of position coming down to turn 1. Brilliant.
A real, if you like, call it contemporary single-seater pass. Seeing the opportunity, getting himself positioned absolutely perfectly to make that lunge down the inside. Remember, he was carrying more speed in the inside than we saw from Winkelhock on the outside. There is the 5 coming in for its drive-through penalty for that infringement when the airline caught around the left-hand rear wing end plate and it tossed one of the engineers up in the air. So that's the penalty you have to pay for that little mistake, a tiny mistake, but a massive penalty.
Well, suddenly that brilliant move from Freins. Look how much he's dropped Winkelhock by. Suddenly he is the new championship favourite. He and Leonard took 1 win so far this year at Zolder. He's way past the end of the pit lane. Let's see where the number 5 Audi, the red-nosed one, is going to rejoin. Oh, he's going to be outside the top 10 at this rate. Oh, your heart goes out to him. McLaren coming through, which is in, I think, just outside the top 10. No, Stage Shop Horse in 9th. About 12th place, just ahead of number 3 Audi, which is... down in 13th place. Oh, the bottom has fallen out of their world. Pierre Dieudonné, he's trying to find out what happened, why things went wrong, why the air hose got caught. These things happen.
These things happen, but of course the gun is attached to the air hose, and when you make your evacuation from that left rear corner, you need to be aware that the airline has cleared before the car is fully off the jacks, and therefore you're clear, the airline's clear, no chance of any mistakes occurring. And unfortunately, as we saw, more haste, less speed, that just was marginal, and the airline caught, and there's the cause, there's the penalty.
And there we have our erstwhile championship leader. We had Maxi Boek as a championship leader when he went off. Now then the lead went into the hands of Dries van Tor, but the muck-up at the pit stop, the mechanic being pitched over when his airline caught, has led to Max. Well, there's Maxi Boek. He's back in despair, but he thought when he got back to the pits, it'd be Dries van Tor heading for the title. But now it's Robin Freins and Stuart Leonard. They certainly seem to have the legs of the chasing sister car, which is Marcus Winkelhock. There, 0-1 on the screen and potentially 0-1 on their championship position at the end of this race. But right now, with 10.5 minutes to go, that is the car with the lead of the title battle. They started the race just a mere 4 points behind the sister number 5 Audi of Fassler and Van Tor, and with a brilliant couple overtakes past Caldarelli's Lamborghini, and then after many laps of trying by Marcus Winkelhock. This is a great drive from Freins.
I mean, that was clearly a stunning overtake. Not easy to pass at Nurburgring, not easy to pass a sister car. So, good pass.
So let's find out from Maxi Boek. The title went. He's with Dakota.
Maxi, a very disappointing situation. What's going on?
Not much. It's difficult to say because we have been, I think, in the fight for P1. Even though the number 5, I don't know what happened at the pit stop, but I don't really care. But the car felt good from the beginning on. I could push and match the pace, I guess. And then suddenly something felt strange on braking for turn 11. And then, I don't know, something broke, or if it wasn't a puncture, but something was not right. And pretty disappointing.
What an absolute shame. It's okay. I'm really sorry for you.
Well, thank you very much, Maxi Boek, holding it all together there. And we suspected it wasn't a puncture, John. So he really held it together interview. You really feel sorry for a driver who it all suddenly was going his way. They lost that 6.5 second lead when the safety car came out, but it was still under control. Maybe they would have come out behind number 5, because, well, they did, but because their pit stop was slow as well. They timed it differently, but now that matters not. That is history. We're focusing on the final 10 minutes of the race. Robin Freins fought for so long. Stuart Leonard, remember, was running 7th in his stint, holding up that whole train of car, and how the race has changed with the other eventualities. Suddenly, not only leading the race, but pulling clear. 2.5 seconds clear last lap and going away.
Yeah, I mean, Stuart Leonard did a strong job holding that group of cars behind him. There is Stuart now in the pit lane, and the emotion already you can see etched into his forehead, into his face, the reality, the realization that where they started for the second of the 2 sprint rounds at Nurburgring, the reality was they didn't have a huge amount of chance to take this Sprint Cup Championship. But now, here they are in the lead, and it's all theirs to lose. Just over 8 minutes of this race remaining. And the second place, number 2, Audi dropping back. Marcus Winkelhocker's got no answer. But likewise, the 2 drivers, 2 cars had equal opportunities. And it was just Robin Freins' outstanding pass here into turn 1, down the inside. One of the best passes, certainly of the weekend, that we have seen at Nürburgring.
So can the BMW get onto the podium? The 98 car right in the mix, smoking. Oh dear, have we had bodywork pushed onto the rear? Well, yes we have. That's Tom Dillman's car, the 82. That was in 10th place. So yes, that will allow number 5 to gain a position. So it does. So still attacking to the finish of the race, Dries van Tor, but it's what could have been and what so very nearly was. And they could be saying that too in the 84 Mercedes camp. But 63, of course, there's the overall GT championship, and they are leading that. So despite a poor weekend in the Sprint Cup, the 63 crew could still come good. They've got to press on, and luckily for them, it's not their car that's had a crumpled rear end. It's the sister car, the 82 car. So all is not lost in Lamborghini land. They've got a car heading for the podium, and with the troubles for the chasers in the GT battle, Vincent Abril is not heading for a whole host of points. In fact, he's only able to get the points for 7th place. It's tightening up a bit at the top, but 63 Lamborghini crew, Bortolotti and Engelhardt could still come home with the overall title this year. They're up to 5th place.
I mean, that's a stunning drive for the 63
19.
Absolutely, because we haven't seen very much of this car, and that's a great
Here
drive.
are the overall points, John. Yeah, there's 25 points up for grabs in Spain, and they're sitting 22 points clear. Vincent Abril, if he could gain another place since he just lost in recent laps with Stephen Kane in the car, could close it in, but suddenly Bortolotti and Engelhardt, it shows it's worth fighting all the way to the finish. Almost coming up unnoticed, picking their way through the pack. Don't forget, started 19th, riding on board now. The next target is the Jesse Krohn driven BMW that also has gone really well, but 19th to 5th, that is a story and a half.
Yeah, you've got 6 minutes of the race remaining, and I don't think that Jesse Krohn's about to vacate his, He's in 4th place. He's not going to vacate that any minute shortly, but the Lamborghini Mirko Bortolotti knows that he's got the opportunity. If he can find that little bit of opportunity, he will make it and put pressure on the BMW.
So Robin Freins, the order might be changing behind, and there is Christian Engelhardt admiring the work that is being put in by his teammate Mirko Bortolotti. It looks as though everything was turning wrong for them. The 85 Mercedes pushing very hard. Jules Simkowiak tried to go back past, but on the inside in 3 doesn't lead to the lead at turn 4. Wow, Bortolotti right off the circuit, chasing very, very hard now down the hill. Don't get confused, 2 green Lamborghinis together. Here's that move from... Was there a little touch? It's being suggested there was a bit of... Oh, this was where... that was the bodywork damage on the sister car. That was very close indeed. So just as we started extolling the merits of the 63 crew, rescuing something from a disastrous weekend, it came very close to disaster. So Bortolotti had to keep almost the tears away yesterday when everything went wrong. 2 of his best laps cancelled by red flags during qualifying. They missed the final cut, ended up almost... They were 18th on the grid. They were 19th on the grid today. They were knocked out of yesterday's race right at the beginning, and yet here they are in 5th place. If they become the overall 2017 GT Series champions, they will truly have deserved it. But there, Robin Freins, he deserves the prize for overtaking 2 fantastic moves in his stint. Andrea Caldarelli was the first one to go. Then he picked off Winkelhock and has just provided fantastic racing. Brilliant move down into turn 1. Winkelhock just hasn't had the pace. He and Will Stevens have been a great combination this season. And and Andrea Cordarelli chasing, and there potentially is the 2017 GT Series overall champion, which is a 63 Lamborghini. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. That will be sorted out in Barcelona in Spain, the circuit to Catalonia, in a couple of weeks' time. But right now it's the 17 yellow-nosed Audi, and look how that train of cars going through to 10th place. And in the very background you can see the red-nosed, the number 5 Audi with Dries van Tor, not yet, but he's just moved up on that lap to 10th place overall. He will pick up a point. Desultory consolation. There is Dries van Tor. There was nothing more he can do. That drive-through penalty, driving down the pit lane with the speed limiter, feels slow at the best of the times in a regular pit stop. But when you know the field is flashing by and it's simply a drive-through, it must have felt like an eternity. So Marcus Winkelhock been fighting all race long since he took over during those pit stops. What had looked like a brilliant, really speedy pit stop for the number 5 Audi, compromised by a mechanic catching his airline on the rear wing and being pitched off his feet. He was fine, but that drive-through penalty that came their way has taken the championship's hopes of Marcel Fessler and Dries van Tor, scrumpled them up and thrown them in the bin. All they can do is race on in the final 3 minutes, just simply for pride. Only 1 point coming their way. That won't even move them ahead of Buch and Pereira. Here is a replay. Look at the mechanic with the air gun. Picks up the wheel, he moves around the cable, just the airline just under the rear wing. And if anything, he almost tripped over the cable on the other side. It wasn't so much the airline catching. What a cruel thing. So he's going to feel awful. He'll have a bruised back end because in some small way he's just cost his crew the title. But it is a team sport. You win together, you lose together. And I'm sure they'll come down to realise it wasn't anything he did intentionally. It was just the tiniest blow of the airline, just to go the wrong side of that rear wing end plate. Number 17, Robin Friens. Great first stint by Stuart Leonard. Looks so he's holding up a queue of cars behind, but it really has paid off. And then Friens did all the attacking. Another quick pit stop for the 17 car, and they put themselves right into the mix. But with the falling out of the corner at the background of your shot when we lost the 84 Mercedes, that was our championship leader. A problem occurred 6 corners earlier, front left-hand corner. There'd been a problem with it during their pit stop. Here is our Pro-Am leader. They've been in front all season. They've already got 6 wins to their name. Daniel Kalvitz and Alexander Matschel will be going on towards the Pro-Am title in their Rinaldi Racing Ferrari. It's been a fantastic season, and it's Kalvitz who will be bringing it home. So victory will come to the 2 Germans in the Pro-Am class, not just on the track here, but in the overall championship on their home patch. So I suggest a bit of a party might be brewing in Rinaldi Racing land. Counting down the clock, out of turn 6. Totally under control, 5 seconds to the good. Here is the driver who will be picking up the championship trophy for the Sprint Cup, the 5-race part of the 10-race programme. The overall Blancpain GT Series, of course, has the Sprint Cup and the Endurance Cup. The Endurance Cup still to be settled. This one's still to be settled, but with just over a minute remaining, you have to feel the car that was looking as though it's going to be heading to 4th place in the championship not so long ago, now way out clear in this race. 5 seconds clear, pulling ever further away. The championship is within touching distance. Battle for 2nd place in the race. Marcus Winkelhock pushing on hard. Here is the Silver Cup leader. That's number 85, 6th place overall, Jules Simkowiak. Where could he have finished if they hadn't had a 5-place grid penalty? So he's right in the mix. At least some recompense for HTP Motorsport, with the sister car of Maxi Buch and Franck Pereira crashing out of the race when something went. It went off the track at the 17th and final turn. We'll have time for one more lap because here comes our race leader, our championship leader. And out of the final corner comes Robin Friens, still 20 seconds on the clock when he crosses the start-finish line. So on to the final lap. Marcus Winkelhock in behind. If anything, I think the gap has come down because it looks as though Robin Friens just being a little more cautious. He has got this one in the bag. Marcus Winkelhock also has finally got a bit of breathing space. The 19 Cordarelli Lamborghini has dropped off his tail at last. You can see them turning into turn 1 as through turn 2 goes Robin Friens. Great to see the face of Stuart Leonard. He probably has everything crossed in the pit garage. He came to GT Racing from single seaters, didn't expect to make this much of a splash so soon. They took a win earlier in the season at Zolder, and now mixed feelings in the WRT camp because of course one of their cars was in a better situation in the championship. That was Van Tor and Fassler. It's been taken away from them by that drive-through penalty, and there is Van Tor lapping in 10th in the pack, just off the tail of this grouping. 63 5th place will be a fantastic result if it can be secured by Bortolotti. Engelhardt, he can smile on a weekend when smiles have been in very short supply for the 63 crew, but Jules Simkowiak getting very close behind. But at the end of the race, and we very nearly are at the end of the race, number 17, it came good. It took some overtaking to make it happen. That was the Schumacher Air up to turn 11 at the top of the hill, coasting home, pacing it absolutely beautifully. Robin Frientz will be sharing this title, the Sprint Cup Championship this year, with Stuart Leonard. In many ways a fantastic result, because it's been the number 5 Audi crew that came strong at the Hungaroring with 2 wins a couple of weeks ago, and now Stuart Leonard, a few more blinks and then it's Christmas. No, a few more blinks and it's the end of the race. And Robin Frientz, a very safe pair of hands through the chicane for the final time, up to the last corner, sitting on that comfortable cushion. 4.6 seconds, it matters not if he sheds a couple of those. Very careful over the curbing. That's where Maxi Boot went off. Lights are flashing, checkered flag are waving. Victory today, and also victory right across the course of the 5-round Sprint Cup Championship. So Stuart Leonard absolutely overjoyed in the pit lane. Second place went to Finkelhock. They could have been challengers too, with the problems up ahead. 2, 3, 4 abreast round the final corner of the Sprint Cup season. And among that pack, the 85 crew picked up the Silver Cup trophy, and for Stuart Leonard's side of the WRT garage, it's hugs all round. And finally, a chance to breathe out. A great to see Marcel Fessler, ever the gentleman, going across to say, well, we didn't get it, well done you guys. And of course they are a big family team down there, but it's been a phenomenal Sprint Cup Championship season. And you can see the faces of which mechanics and engineers are working with which crews. So hard to be in the garage when your sister car has done well and yours has fallen out. So hugs all round. And with Stephen Kane bringing the 7 Bentley home in 7th place, that they're still second in the overall GT title race. That is good news indeed. Enzo Ida, his car didn't win today. In fact, they finished in the hands of Fred Vervish down in 16th place overall. But for the Audi pit, it's a very bittersweet experience, but it's very sweet if you're the driver of the number 17 Audi. That's the one with the yellow livery up over the top of its grey flanks. Savouring the moment. Robin Frientz cruising home, sitting low. He's a short fella in the cockpit there, making the moment last as long as it possibly can. The checkered flag being waved to the final few cars coming home. Dries van Tor, you have to feel for him, comes home in 10th place. Silver Cup winner Jules Simkowiak finished in 6th place overall. Best of the Pro-Am runners, 18th place, the Rinaldi Racing Ferrari 333 from 39 and 87. Tristan Fortier joining the Sprint Cup to finish 3rd in the class. And 39 crew, they did very well indeed to take 2nd in class, and that is the Kessel Racing Ferrari. So many seconds this year, but everybody is going to be talking what happened at the front end of this race. They're going to talk about it for a long time to come. We thought yesterday was dramatic, but today has absolutely knocked that over completely. A phenomenal, endlessly exciting race, and a brilliant advertisement for the Blancpain GT Series. The Sprint Cup element, so different, much shorter, 1 hour races, 3 hours and more, of course, for the Endurance Cup races. But it's this mix that makes it such a beguiling mix. And do not forget, of course, the 63 Lamborghini crew came away with almost no points from yesterday. They picked up a handful of points today, but they are out clear in the overall GT Series. The combination of the Sprint Cup and the Endurance Cup. So many twists in the tail. And I just want to point out the AM honours went to David Perel and Stephen Earle. They finished 27th overall. 4 non-finishers, but it matters not. They have driven really well throughout the season. But what a race. There's Marcus Finkelhock. He came 2nd on the circuit. Be good to see the overall championship points if the computer hasn't melted down. He did all he could, couldn't resist the charging Robin Frientz. So a look of certain discontent, in fact, rather angry looking face there from Finkelhock. Expected so much more. He came away with the 18 points for 2nd place in the race. But there's a tall figure waiting to greet. Robin Frientz is down waiting for Stuart Leonard to come up and congratulate him as well. This year's Sprint Cup champion. Cap in hand, cap for... So that is about as close as you could possibly want it on the circuit. In the end, Friens and Leonard win the championship by, I calculate, 8 points, 82 to 74, but I'll get back to you on that one. Yeah, that is indeed the case. Good to see Caldarelli and Ezekiel Perez Compact. They made the podium again today. Yesterday they thought they took victory, but they, in some ways, were a subplot. Marcus Winkelhock, he's been there over the years, so many endurance race victories. But let's go down, because John Watson is down with our race winners in the paddock. That means Stuart Leonard and Robin Friens, this year's Sprint Cup champions.
Robin Friens, you're a champion yet again.
Well, yet again. I mean, last year I was fighting with Book with the Bentley, or 2 years ago that was, and just made out the sprint champion. And now came from third, overtook Lambo and Marcus, kept it all clean. And to win a championship like this, yeah, it's real satisfaction.
I know you always dream that you've got a chance, but when the lights went out, did you realise that this was going to be real? I mean, first, Stuart, come in, Stuart.
Mate, you are a legend. You are a legend. Thank you so much. Oh, man.
Did you actually think there's a real chance you could win this championship?
Well, at the beginning it was difficult. The chance was always there, but Book was in front of us. He was leading the pack. And he was second, and Dries was way up ahead. So yeah, I thought the chances were gone. Dries got a drive-through penalty. Book went off in front of me. I think he had a failure on his car or whatever. And then you suddenly fighting for the championship together with your teammates. So it's fun, but I think it's quite stressful for the team.
Best part for me was that pass down the inside of Marcus. Absolutely spot on.
Yeah, on the radio it was quite stressful. They said like a few times, keep it clean. Which I did. I think it was a clean overtaking, and the overtaking for the championship.
Well done. Stuart, we were watching you after you got out of the car, and once the realisation set in you could win this championship, it was stress all over.
Yeah, exactly. I think those last 10 minutes I was just praying that everything just went smoothly, and because started and that was struggling a bit, and I was like, I wasn't sure it was going to happen, but then we did a really good pit stop. And then just gradually one thing happened after another, and I'm just speechless.
Stuart, was the stress worse holding that pack of cars behind you in your stint, or watching Robin making his way up through the field?
I think watching Robin, actually. Normally I'd say the other way around, but in this case, watching Robin.
Well, congratulations to you. A fantastic day. Well done.
Wow, that is great satisfaction, and obviously they touched on the fact that in their garage there are very, very mixed feelings, because some have triumphed and some have not, but when you run so many cars that can be expected. But Watty has moved across to talk to the teammates who finished in second place, Will Stevens and Marcus Winkelhock, with Watty.
Will, sometimes life is a bit strange, sometimes a bit cruel. Are there those two emotions? How are you feeling them?
Yeah, I mean, for sure it was an eventful last race. We knew all weekend that it would be difficult, especially after what happened in qualifying for our car. So to come through to fifth yesterday, we got ourselves in a position to fight, and we managed to do that today. So after everything, we were in the fight. Obviously at the end we lost by a few points, but we've had a few bad races this year not through of our own, so we can be happy to be still in contention for the championship at the end.
Well, good drive, well done. Marcus, you got the lead, but just the pace of the 17 Audi behind you into turn one, there was nothing much you could do.
Yeah, I was struggling with the brakes a bit. Pedal was getting quite soft, and I tried to defend, but I didn't want to crash with my teammates, so yeah, it's a shame. Sorry for Will. I wanted to win the championship for sure, but as he said, we were coming here to Nurburgring P5 in the championship. Now we're second. It's not a bad result, but if you have the championship in front of your eyes like that, and then you lose it the last couple of laps, it's embarrassing. It's a shame. Sorry.
But you've had a great year, the pair of you.
Sorry?
You've had a good year altogether.
Yeah, and totally, it was a good year. Winning 2 24-hour races was not a bad year, and now second in championship as well. But still, I'm not really happy, to be honest.
Okay.
Thank you.
Drivers only ever want to be winners. They can be very satisfied. Will Stevens touched on the fact they had a couple of bad races, and in a 10-race championship, they cost you dear. So let's go down, because Watty is with the third place crew. It's the Lamborghini crew of Caldarelli and Compact.
Say what you like. Andrea, sum up this weekend, please.
Well, very, very nice. Double podium, you know, for me it was the first time in the sprint series, so it was everything to learn. And no, like, really positive result for us, for the team, for Ezekiel. I think we did all the best we could do this weekend, and I think we really deserve this double podium.
Well, I think you've done very well, the pair of you. But Ezekiel, I mean, this was tough coming in. You had competition all over you, but you held your own.
Yeah, to be honest, this weekend was quite fun. I had a lot of tough battles. Unfortunately, with the Bentley, we had again contact. So, yeah, I think we could have gone again for P1 or P2. But, yeah, being again on the podium is fantastic. So, yeah, now enjoy it. And a big thanks to the team, to Andrea, because it's been a fantastic weekend with him, and I really enjoyed it. And, yeah, to my family and to everybody that is helping me to be here, because I'm really, really grateful. Thanks a lot.
There's a big steak waiting for you tonight, I hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, big Argentinian steak waiting for Ezekiel Perez Compact, who really came of age, I think, this weekend, and Andrea Caldarelli, new teammate, and they really gelled very well indeed. But let's take a look at the results. Audi won 2, but what a shake-up through the course of the race. Victory to Stuart Leonard and Robin Friens, and the Sprint Cup Championship title too. Will Stevens and Marcus Finkelhock ended up second in the race and also second in the title rankings. Ezekiel Perez Compact, Andrea Caldarelli waving the flag for Lamborghini, but really the star performances came from their teammates. Christian Engelhardt, Mirko Bortolotti, 5th from 19th on the grid, and they're still leading the overall championship battle. So that is very important. That will go to the final round at Barcelona in 2 weeks' time. Rinaldi Racing, 18th place. Alexander Matschel and Daniel Karwitz, they take the Pro-Am title. And second in the class, Biren Bakhti and Carlo Van Dam pushed them hard all season. Then Jean-Luc Bobelic and Tristan Vautier, third in the Pro-Am class here at the Nurburgring. Victory in the Am class eventually went to Kessel Racing in 27th place overall. Stephen Earle and David Perel. Almost everybody got to the finish, but we lost Maxi Buch, and that was the absolute critical one. That took him out of the championship battle, and then the drive-through penalty for Dries van Tor took the number 5 car out of the championship lead. It was all change at the end, but it's victory in the race and the title to Robin Friens and Stuart Leonard. What a 2 days of racing we've had, and there is confirmation. Friens and Leonard on 82 points, 8 points clearing the end. Don't forget, 7 crews came here with a chance for the title. By this morning it was down to 5. You couldn't have predicted that Friens and Leonard would come out on top, but they most certainly did. Maxi Buch and Franck Pereira had it all in their pocket. They end up 3rd overall. Dries van Tor and Marcel Fessler looked as though it was theirs. They end up in 5th. How fickle can the world of motor racing be? But when it's as close as it is in the Blancpain Series, anything can happen, and it usually does. And in the team standings, Belgian Audi Club Team WRT way clear. Well, only 9 points clear in that, but they take the title. Shows it's close. The sister team, Team WRT, across the garage, they come second on 97. And the GRT Grasser Racing Team, 91 points. HTB Motorsports still close. 4 teams so close after a year of fantastic racing in the Blancpain GT Series Sprint Cup. Nurburgring has really been a massive treat. And the overall standings, 22 points clear. Mirko Bortolotti and Christian Engelhardt, that drive from 19th to 5th, may have clinched in the deal, but still enough points to be toppled by Vincent Abril. Down when we go to Spain for the final round. So perseverance across all 10 rounds is what counts. And here, celebrations for some, commiserations for others. Out onto the podium, 3rd place this afternoon, great drive. Andrea Caldarelli and Ezekiel Perez Compact, they waved the Lamborghini flag as their sister car, the 63, was working its way up the order. 2nd yesterday. And talking of 2nd, here come Will Stevens and Marcus Finkelhock, deeply disappointed. 2nd in the race, 2nd in the title. Sprint Cup, Vincent Vos up on the top, on the 2nd step of the podium. But let's welcome this year's championship winners in the Sprint Cup. Robin Friens and Stuart Leonard up onto position number 1 for the 2017 Sprint Cup champions. So the Belgian national anthem played for Team WRT, and on the top step of the podium, Belgian Audi Club alongside in second place, and the Austrian flag for the GRT Grasser Racing Team took third place with Andrea Cordarelli and Ezekiel Perez-Companc. Second place trophy for today's race. Giving out now Marcus Winkelhock, and of course Will Stevens. Vincent Vos takes the team trophy for the victory, and then the winner's trophy for today's feature race here at the Nurburgring to Robin Frieds and Stuart Leonard. And of course, with victory, with the point situation changing almost every moment out on the track, they are also the 2017 Sprint Cup champions. €15,000 third place check, 20,000 for second, and the big one, the 25,000, should cover tonight's party just about, I would reckon. It's going to be a big, big celebration in the land of Leonard and Frieds. They pulled it off. But of course, what happens when you win, you get to spray the fizz, the champagne coming out, and for Frieds and Leonard, a chance to exhale and just go, somehow we did it. Fantastic chase. It showed nothing is ever over until the checkered flag is out. So a phenomenal performance from all the crews at the top end of the field this weekend. It's been a brilliant time racing here at the Nürburgring. The weather's been kind. The rain stayed away. A little sprinkle just before the start made things a little bit interesting, but a dry track, a dry playing surface for these crews to go out and weave their magic, and most certainly it was entertaining from the very start, absolutely all the way to the very end of an enthralling Sprint Cup season. Now waiting for the Pro-Am podium. '18th place overall, and the 6th win of their season in the class, 7th win of the season. Grief, I have to keep adding them up. So Daniel Kalwitz and Alexander Matschel have nailed it again. Carlo Van Dam not so very far behind, just 10 seconds down at the flag. So it shows how he and Piti Bhirombhakdi have really kept Kalwitz and Matschel on their toes. So out onto the podium come the Orange One Team Lazarus runners. They ended up Fabrizio Crestani and Nicholas Pola. This is the Silver Cup trophy for the younger drivers. So on the top step, Silver Cup champion Joseph Kowiak and Fabian Schiller. They took victory today. Second place, the McLaren crew in 13th place overall, Martin Kodrick and Lewis Williamson. Third place there, the Lamborghini crew from Orange One Team Lazarus. That's Nicholas Pola in number 27 with Fabrizio Crestani. They're the McLaren duo getting their trophies. And HTP Motorsport taking up the winning team trophy. So it's been a good year for Jules Simkowiak coming out on top of that pile. So really, now we want to start having a look at the highlights. Where would one start? What an enthralling event. Silver Cup podium over the start of the race. Riding on board with Marcel Fassler, the Bentley went past. That was a very positive start from Maxime Soulet, but Ezekiel Perez-Companc stayed out wide, went past the Bentley, all very, very tight in behind. Three of the Audis almost side by side. Fassler just trying to be careful. Ooh, a little touch there from the Bentley, and that had the Audi out over the turn, and then I'm afraid Rinat Salikov clouted into the back of the 88 Mercedes, spun it round, cost it time. Then we had a problem. The ISR Audi stopped on the start-finish straight. They had to attend to a fire, and that bunched the field up, and it was the HTP Motorsport car in the lead of the race, but everybody else closed right in. It cost them a 6-second lead, but then a little slip up and a slip over in the pit lane for the number 5 Audi crew. Very, very fast pit stop. It got it out ahead of the 84 Mercedes, which had a problem changing its front left. There goes the number 5 Audi into the lead of the race, Dries van Tor. But then a problem for the 84 Mercedes, losing ground in the background. Something had broken earlier in the lap and pitched off the circuit, out of the championship lead, out of the race went Maxi Buch. Hearts went out. His co-driver could not stand the tension anymore. Franck Pereira walking out. So suddenly it was all good. Or was it for the number 5 Audi crew? No, the mechanic falling over in the pit lane, being knocked over, gave them a drive-through penalty, emerging in 12th or 13th position. Their hopes of nailing the title totally over. All they could do was drive round for pride, but with a brilliant overtaking manoeuvre past Marcus Finkelhock. Robin Frieds went into the lead of the race. The 63 Lamborghini, picking its way from 19th up the order, was increasing its lead in the overall championship. But in terms of the Sprint Cup for 2017, victory today gave the points required for Stuart Leonard. There he is on the right of your screen, celebrating big time, and Robin Frieds to become the overall Sprint Cup titles. It's been an enthralling season. We'll go in 2 weeks' time down to Barcelona. But right now, Robin Frieds, Stuart Leonard, the champions. So now we're looking at the podium for the top finishers in the Pro-Am class. Alexander Matschel with Daniel Karwitz. Daniel Karwitz is the one on the left, not the one he's holding in his arms. Up on the top step of the podium, Carlo Van Dam and Piti Birambakti on second place. And Jean-Luc Bobelic with Tristan Vautier on the right. And then the AM winners, Stephen Earle in the red overalls on the right-hand side, and David Perel, who still just can't believe how good his debut season has been. They took the AM honours. Seven victories in the Pro-Am class for the Rinaldi Racing duo, Alexander Matschel and Daniel Karwitz. Been a cracking season for them. But if you want the biggest smiles, look to Stephen Earle and David Perel. There's a driver who knows what he wants in life. Stephen Earle commuting from the States, and David Perel coming up from South Africa. Jean-Luc Bobelic and Tristan Vautier. A new pairing this weekend. Tristan's driven generally in the Endurance Cup races, but they nailed it. And Carlo Van Dam and Piti Birambakti in their glorious yellow and blue Ferrari taking the second place trophies. But this year's champions in the Pro-Am class, and also victors today and yesterday at the Nurburgring. That is why they're champions. Daniel Karwitz and Alexander Matschel. And then of course the checks for third, second and third. €15,000. 20,000 euros if you've got a spare hand, of course you do, for a check that size, and 25,000, another 25,000 euros to the winning crew. Alexander Matschel and Daniel Karwitz, absolute smiles all round. The final fizz on the podium for this year's Sprint Cup. Of course, they can do it all over again if they're successful at Barcelona in the final Endurance Cup round that brings the 2017 Blancpain GT Series to a close at the Circuit de Catalunya. But for now, we just have to look back on a weekend of extraordinary tension, brilliant racing, and more twists in the tail than you can possibly imagine. It's been a brilliant, brilliant visit to the Nurburgring, and one that I think all of us involved will remember for a very long time indeed. No wonder the drivers don't want to leave the podium. They don't want the moment to end. It's been such a great race meeting. So they will be going off now down to the press conference, smelling beautifully of champagne, no doubt. But it's been a fantastic race meeting, and for any crew getting up on the podium in a competition, a series as tough and as competitive as the Blancpain GT Series, it's very, very good reason to smile. And I think the width of those grins up on the podium tell the story that you need to know. So one last photograph with their trophies before they leave the podium and go down into the main building at the Nurburgring. It's been a weekend of extraordinary tension, fun, and in the end, as with all elements of sport, there are winners and there are losers. Right now we're looking at those who came out at the right end, but spare a thought in particular for Maxi Buch and Franck Pereira, and then for Dries Van Tor and Marcel Fassler. Both of them in turn, both of those pairings thought they finally had the championship in the bag, but nothing is ever confirmed until it is all over. The season is complete, and for them, unfortunately, 2 incidents led to their downfall. Problem with the front left corner of the 84 HTP Motorsport Mercedes, and a trouble in a very quick pit stop, a mechanic going over for the number 5 Audi crew, and that was the end of their title battles. Now it looks as though we're having the overall presentation for the championship position. So if Jules Simkoviak and Fabian Schiller are there, that means that will be to be anointed the winners in the Silver Cup class. So the Pro-Am champions, up they go. Alexander Matschel and Daniel Kalwitz up onto the top step. So victory to Rinaldi Racing. And back out, so we've got the Silver Cup champions on the left, we've got the Pro-Am champions on the top, and just because they think they can, on the overall title winners, Robin Friens and Stuart Leonard on the top step of your podium. So there are championship winners for the Sprint Cup of the 2017 Blancpain GT Series. And Vincent Vos into the middle for Team WRT. The boss of the team, he had a very, very tense race, but with so many crews in with contention, 5 of his crews had a shot at the overall title, and one of them came good at the end. It was Stuart Leonard and Robin Friens, and to them the victory that counts for so much. Oh, Vincent Vos, is he running for the champagne? No, he's running to get out of the way. There's the ticker tape shower. And showing that he's not just good at running a team, but good at not having champagne sprayed up his nose. But for Rinaldi Racing, it's looking a little harder. Daniel Kalwitz, as handy with wrestling as he is in the cockpit of the car. So celebration all around, but up and down the length of the paddock, everyone's going to have one or more stories to tell about what happened in their race. It was so tight, so competitive through the course of the season. Robin Friens, well, those are going to go into the wash anyhow, off to dry cleaning before we come to Barcelona. But he and Stuart Leonard, it didn't look as though it was going their way. They were in the mix, but it all came good. The 84 Mercedes hitting trouble, and then their sister car, the number 5 Audi, also in the war. But they still had to get ahead of the number 2 crew, and Marcus Winkelhock couldn't resist the irrepressible Robin Friens. The momentum that kept on coming. So 2017 is not over in terms of the Blancpain GT Series. It is in terms of the Sprint Cup, but we've got the final Endurance Cup round and the final overall round when we head in 2 weeks' time down to the circuit to Catalonia in Spain. We've had dry weather here at the Nurburgring. Will it be dry, or will we have a rain shower coming down to sort out the action in the final round? It's been brilliant. Thanks for joining us here at the Nurburgring. Goodbye from Bruce Jones.